really excited about this summit because I get to learn a lot of new stuff, and DSC really helps me to identify and make my skills grow.
DSCs are university-based student groups that come together and learn Google technology from each other.
In DSC, I could not only learn about technical skills related about technology, but also here I could learn about soft skills like leadership, communication, and also mentoring.
I've been developing NLP-based web applications at school, and with the Google technologies I learned at the summit, I'm looking forward to taking my project to the next level.
We expanded developer student clubs this year to more universities and more countries across Southeast Asia. It is this summit where their journey begins. Over the next 2 days, DSC leads learn vital technical, problem-solving and leadership skills from Googlers and industry experts before they go back to their universities to train more students, build projects and contribute back to the community.
The most memorable part of this summit is when we met other DC leads from different countries, learning their culture and sharing the same goal, and that is helping our fellow students with the use of technology.
The sessions that was most useful for me was how to build community, how to focus and respect the audience.
It's crucial that students are able to see the big picture and prepare themselves for their professional career. And that's what DSC does. It gives them a path for the future.
The DSC journey helped me build my passion in one area of technology and grow my career.
We want you to start connecting with, understand your community, understand your university, see what's going on in your city, talk to businesses, talk to NGOs, talk to your university, identify problem statements, and then work as a group to solve those problems and actually build solutions.
I'd like to make sure that no one in my community is left behind.
We're so excited to work with you all DSC leads from across the region, to see your career grow and support you to solve local problems and create impact in your communities.
Wait, I'm muted. So, okay, all right. So, welcome back, guys. So, of course, before anything else, we remember that we are in the holy presence of God, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and for this event that you have given us. And thank you for this opportunity that you have gathered us here today. And Lord, we request and grant us the success that we will be needing. And Lord, please also guide our speakers today, our first speaker and our second speaker, and all of the organizers and all of the participants. And Lord, we entrust you everything, and may you protect everyone in the comfort of their homes. And Lord, we pray all of this in Jesus' name. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So, okay, guys, what's up? So, once again, I am Fidel, the DSC lead of De La Salle College of St. Piniod. And right now, I'll be your host for today. But of course, we'll be having Kyra later. And also, okay, so I am very enthusiastic for this day because we will be having two speakers who are both Android experts. So, okay, so maybe you might be thinking two speakers, huh? What a coincidence, but I guess not. So, how about we ask our audience what their thoughts or takeaways from yesterday's session? Okay, so
Hi,
here
Fidel.
is
Hi, guys. I'm very
hello,
sorry
hi
for
Kyra.
the
How are you?
technical issues I had.
Yeah,
I'm
it's alright.
fine. Really, wasn't expecting that pretty brown out. Okay, so
Okay, yes. This is live, guys. So yeah, this happens, but it's alright. As long as we're
yeah,
moving
all right.
forward. Okay. Okay, so
Okay,
Kyra,
checking in with our comments.
so I think it gets more exciting every day, right? So my personal takeaways, actually, yesterday's session is indeed spectacular because of course this is my first time having this event, and also I learned that Kotlin is becoming more relevant in today's generation. Also, I learned that learning the basic syntax of Kotlin will really open more possibilities for me in my exploration toward mobile development. So that's for my takeaway, Kyra. So how about you? What are your takeaways from yesterday's session?
Oh, first of all, from yesterday's event, I was really amazed how participative our audience was last night, right? There were really a lot of good questions according from our speakers, or Mac. And also, if you have observed, our participants are helping each other in the comment section. During the discussion, there were
Right.
a lot of beginners, right? And there are also experienced or professionals, I might say. And yes, we have our Discord server where I think everyone had a lot of fun in our server, I might say. And yes, I won't say a lot of technical views for the last night's event, because I know you guys, we have a lot of in store for you today, and we don't want you to have brain fees, I mean. And we're about to start our event. And yes, I hope you're all excited.
Yeah, I hope you're all excited, guys. So let's head to the comment section and see what we have here. So okay, so there's
Okay.
many doing shout outs. So sabi ni Fights, sorry. Good PM watching Western Mindanao, Zamboanga. Okay, so good afternoon, Fights. And okay, we have Zane Philip joining from DSC Finma, University of Pangasinan, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, we also have
And
Christian. Hello, guys, from Pilska. Hello, guys. Okay, we also
I
have,
remember that guy.
yeah, from USTP again. Okay.
Okay, hello, hello, Hannah. Okay, so let's go, University of Pangasinan.
Oh, we
Okay.
have Miguel Mendoza, our co-leads
From other DSC chapters. So it's so cool that there's many DSC chapters for participating in this event because of course this is all for you guys. So yeah.
Yes.
All
I
right.
hope you're all stoked for today's. Okay.
Yes. All right, so
Hi
we're
from
going.
Ateneo de Zamboanga University. Hi, Aliana, our code DSC lead also. Okay. Oh my
Okay,
God, I
so,
see people from last night again for today's event. Hello,
yeah,
Dean.
it's
Right,
so
Fidel?
good to have you here. Yes. Okay, so please keep that comment section kicking and alive. All right.
Right. Okay.
And
Thank you so
also,
much for
guys.
all your um
Mhm.
may we ask from our audience also if what they have learned yesterday or what have they their takeaways from last night's event, right? So
Mhm.
you may comment down, guys.
Oo, your takeaways, mga learning stuff. Ano yung mga natutunan nyo? Okay, sige. Let's see here. Well, ano pa, they're doing shoutouts pa. Try this time,
Okay.
guys. Yeah, okay. This time, guys, please, of course, we're helping each other learn, and you can share your takeaways from yesterday.
Yes.
Okay. Right, right.
All
So
right.
we're seeing, lots of shout outs and lots of love from, different parts of the Philippines. So, okay, so we have one here. So sabi ni John Ranzel, Kotlin as an alternative for Java. Yeah, that's right. You know, uh, we have um, we have many options right now into, introduction to mobile development. So Kotlin is really a good start, good platform to start learning mobile dev. Yeah, right.
Yes, we also
Okay.
have from Dale. Kathleen is good. Yes. If you have observed last night, it was Kathleen was very flexible.
Okay. All right. So guys, so just a quick reminder, please do not forget to post photos, snippets on your social media channels and tag at Google Devs and Google Students using the hashtag Android Study Jams,
Hashtag PH Android Weekend 2020.
hashtag DSC Philippines.
And lastly, hashtag developer student clubs. All
All
right.
right.
Thank you so much for your inputs, everyone. And again, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Philippine Android Weekend 2020. This is Kyra Siniza from DSE San Carlos.
So again, this is Fidel Relon Jr. from DSCV NILD.
And once again, we welcome you back here in the day two.
Yeah, day two. Yeah, we're going day two.
Right,
All
day
right.
two, Fidel.
Okay, so can you remind us? Okay. All right. So
Okay, so
remind us.
reminders for everyone that the pinned comment in the comment section contains the link for the code labs, and also this is required for you to have all of you to have an e-certificate from this event. So if you want to have that e-certificate, go complete that code labs.
Yeah, yeah. So we will be seeing you in the Discord server because when you completed the code lab, you will be, everyone will notice that you've completed it because we will announce that because we're proud of everyone who's going to complete it. And yeah. So, okay. So, just a little bit plug in. Fresh from the Google Cloud team, we are so happy to announce that Google developers launched GCP NAS.
By registering to the self-paced program, okay, you get an opportunity to self-study infrastructure modernization and application development on Google Cloud platform. So starting with 1 month free access with Quick Labs, you will receive cool swag pack shown on the screen upon completion. So if you'll be able to, we will be also be sharing the link for this for the GCP NAS. Sounds interesting,
Mhm.
right, Fidel?
Yeah, sounds interesting. So if you're interested and excited like me, so go to Google, I mean GOO.GLE/GCPNAS and register to receive your Quick Labs access code. And you have to complete the 6 quests in order for you to get these free swags from Google. So that's so nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love swags, right, Fidel? Just like our shirt from Google thing. All right. All right. So you have a 1 month to complete the Quick Labs, and then after that, you will receive your Swags. All right. So Fidel,
Yeah.
I think we are all set up. We're all set to formally start our event.
Yes, actually, I'm really excited. But before I forget, please take note of this Menti code shown on the screen. Here, you can submit your questions for both of our speakers while their discussion is ongoing, and we will entertain your question one at a time after their discussion. So, without further ado, I am so honored to introduce to all of you our first speaker.
All right. So our first speaker is an expert in Android and iOS development for video streaming platform. Oh, very useful for online learning right now. And also, he is working as lead software engineer for Singapore's live streaming platform. And also, he was a senior software engineer at Name Next Streaming. And also, he's also a Google developers expert in Android volunteer.
Okay, yeah, right. So, no other than Mr. Hassan Abid. The virtual stage is yours, Mr. Hassan.
Good afternoon,
Hello
sir.
everyone. Yeah, good afternoon. How are you guys?
Yeah, good, sir.
We're all good, sir. I hope you're. Thank you so much once again for being with us today.
Yeah, no problem. I'm extremely happy to be here today to share something about Android. So basically, we want more Android developers in this world. So here I am.
Okay, so we'll give you the stage now, sir.
Okay, sure. So let me start. So hello guys. I think today what I will be going through you is just like how you can get started with Android development. So I think many of you will be very beginners. You know how to start, what to do, how to create a project, and basically, I mean, if you don't know anything, it's okay. I'll guide you through. Today. So first of all, let me share my screen. Okay. So can you guys see my screen? So today, right, I'm just like going to like share with you like just the general overview of Android development in first. So why Android is very important? I think this slide, what I'm showing you is like as of now, there's like 80% of the market cap, the devices out in market are Android devices. So that's why Android development is very important. Down the line, every tech company in the world will have an Android app. So that's why like it's almost like kind of must to learn Android. I mean, it's just one of the option. You can learn iOS, you can learn web also. But if you learn Android, I don't think you will be jobless in next few years. So this another slide is from Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow is where when you have some problems, you go and ask questions. So over there, it's from all the respondents. It can be from experts. It can be from totally beginners. So what they are saying is that 26.2% of the people are doing Android development or would like to do Android development. And all the platforms on top of it are just operating systems like Linux, Windows, AWS. So Android is the top mobile platform. And for me, like I just want to share with you guys like my Android journey, so that I give you the. I mean, most of you are in first or second year of your university. Maybe your computer science background, maybe you're from different background, but you are interested in programming. For me, my undergraduate was kind of electronics engineering, where I could hardly learn any language like C++. And that's back in 2003, 2004. Don't judge my age, please. Yeah, I'm still young. I mean, at that time, there was no Android device, no Android operating system. But when I graduated, right, so the first Android OS, right, it came out in 2007. That was the beta version. And in 2008, first official release of Android on an HTC phone. So this was the time I graduated from my university, and I realized that I should change my career from electronics engineering to computer engineering. So that's where it got me interested. I enrolled in computer engineering. I moved to South Korea. That was the best place because they have Samsung, LG, and like so much smartphone boom out right there. And then I remember in 2010, when I was there were like high school students using smartphones, Android phones, and we are foreigners and we could hardly afford an Android phone. But good thing is that there was Android Eclipse at that time, not Android Studio, and we could start development without buying a phone. We can use the simulator, emulator, which I will show you shortly. And that's where you can see the journey of Android began. And now we are in 2020. We have the latest version of Android, which is Android 11, and it's being available on more than 2.5 billion devices. So it's really amazing. It's really amazing. And there are over 180 hardware manufacturers. Okay, so how can you get started with Android? Obviously, there are like so many ways to make an Android app. So let me just like show you. Okay, I mean, you must be wondering. Okay, so yesterday you had an session about Kotlin. So you can make Android application using native Kotlin or Java, which I'm going to focus today. But there are some other ways to make Android apps, but those are mostly, I think, not relevant to you at this point. I think it's best to learn native, which is where 80 to 90% of the apps are made. And once you get familiar with it, then you can move to some kind of other cross-platform methods where you can make iOS and Android apps together. But it's better to learn native Android development first to understand the Android lifecycle, what's activity, how to create project, how to manage something, how to create button, how to create text, how to create a view. Yeah, so today we are going to look into this. So all you need to get started is go to this website, developer.android.com/studio, and you can download Android Studio. So as of now, Android Studio 4.1.1 is the latest version, which is the stable version available for Windows, Mac, and Linux platforms. So once you go to this website, you can basically see the download link for your operating system. Here I'm using a Mac, so I will see download Android Studio Mac version, and then you will get some overview and some kind of images. What are some of the features of it? So make sure like you download your Android Studio from here and you try to use the latest version because it has many improvements over the years. Yeah. And also actually you can go to this preview tab. In preview, because Android community or the Android folks at Google, they are developing the beta version and canary builds for the future like features. So this is something you can try out, but not today. Later, if you get familiar, you want to try some experimental things. So they always have this beta version or canary version with some new features down the line. Okay, so I have downloaded my Android Studio already, and I think you can see this kind of icon. It's changed. I don't like this icon, but I think you will see this kind of blue kind of, and there's like this Android robot at the back. So once I open this Android Studio, you will see this kind of menu. On the left, there are some existing projects. So I have some existing projects from my company, which it will suggest you to open. But here we'll focus on the right side where you can create a new project, open an existing project. You can also get some code, some kind of project from version control. Like version controls are GitHub. If you are familiar with it. And before GitHub, there was this thing called SVN. Yeah, so you can also fetch from there. You can also profile or debug in APK. So APK is kind of like the package or some kind of binary, which is the output of your project, your kind of Android app, which you can install on your Android device. So we can also get into it and see what's inside. And then there's also this kind of import project. You can import an existing project from Eclipse. So before Android Studio, there used to be a software called Eclipse, which was used. And what is Gradle? So Gradle is the build system which is used by Android to build and manage your project. Yeah, but it's not used to write the app. For that, you use either Kotlin or Java. But recently, this Gradle, right? Actually, you can use Kotlin to write this kind of script. And then you can import some Android code sample here. That's also possible. And you can do some kind of configuration. This we will look into it later. So let me start a new project for you guys. So you see, over the years, right, Android has evolved, and there are like so many kind of default templates you get. I remember back in 2010, 11, there was like very simple. It's just like 2 or 3 options out there, but now it's like so many. And you can see, Android is not just for mobile devices or tablets. It's also for your watch, for TV, for automotive, for cars, and this thing called Android Things, which is the IoT, Internet of Things. So you can make your project for many different kind of devices. That's why there are more than 2.5 billion active devices for Android. So here, what I can do for you is I can choose basic activity. Okay. So basic activity comes with this floating button and this kind of menu on the right. And then there's a back navigation button. And then there's also option for bottom navigation. There's like empty. Empty is like for people who just like don't want to have any default code at all. And then there is some kind of full screen activity, which is maybe useful for some kind of videos. Then there's login activity, where the first page is login. Then you have master detail flow. So master detail flow is like, let's say your home page is showing a list of restaurants. When you click on one of them, you can go see inside that restaurant. So the template is like this. And then there is this navigation drawer, this hamburger menu on top. When you click on this, then these sliding windows come on top of it. And then you can also have setting activity, which comes with this kind of checkboxes, sliders, and other toggle buttons. Then there is scrolling activity, and tabbed activity. These are tabs on top. Then there is this fragment for view plus view model. So this is a bit of advanced. And then there is native C++. So with Android Studio, you can write Kotlin and C++ together, or Java and C++ together. So C++ is mostly used for games or graphics. Yeah. So we're just going to select basic activity, and then I'm going to write the name of my application. So let me write DSC Philippines app. Okay. I hope my Philippine spelling is okay. Okay. And then I can write package name. So package name is something through which you identify your app. So I can write, let's say dev.app. This is my name. So this is kind of when you go and find some app on Google Play. So basically the package name is over there in the URL. So this is a bit important to choose. Basically, it should show the identity of your app or your company. And then I have this location. So let me choose the location to somewhere. So I have my folder, and then I can go inside GTE. Okay, yeah, and then I can create a new folder here. You can see Phil. Okay, so I can create my app inside this folder, and then language option is Kotlin and Java. We will stick with Kotlin. And then this is important, the minimum SDK. So minimum SDK means like on what devices you can run your app. So minimum means like if your Android has version 4.4, you can run this app, and any version above will still run. But if your phone is below Android KitKat 4.4, you cannot install app over there. So if you want to be like, you're curious like how can you choose which version, yeah, so this gives you like how many devices as of now are using which version. So let's start with ice cream sandwich. This is Android 4.0. It's API level 15, and it's available on 99.8% of devices. Then you have Jelly Bean, KitKat. So KitKat is available at on 99.8% devices, 98.1% devices. Then you have Lollipop. So every version brings new APIs, new features. Like, so it's up to you, but we will going to stick with Android KitKat because developing countries like Southeast Asia, they are still I think very much with Android 19 at the moment, and we can target 98.1% of the worldwide Android users. Okay, so here I think there's this option, use like legacy Android support libraries. So Android has evolved over the years. There are some support libraries provided by Google for UI and other stuff, but now they changed to this new format called Android X. So we are going to use the new format instead of the old format. So I click on finish, then I can like just see my Android Studio. So it's if you can see, right, there is this kind of Gradle build at the bottom. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so at the bottom you can see there are some processes running. So this is Gradle build. So basically it's building up your app. And where is your Gradle script? It will appear soon. So I just created a new project, so it should be pretty fast. Yeah. So usually this is the time to relax, do some stretching. Yeah, because you're doing some kind of Gradle build. So you just let computer do its job, and you can do some stretching, have a cup of water or some snack. So yeah, okay, so we have this is like our Android Studio. Okay, so and let me try to see if I can make it bigger for you guys, so that there should be some presentation mode. I will make the font size bigger. Also menus and toolbars. Okay, yeah. So I can make it bigger for you guys, so you can see it like more clearly. So on the left hand side, actually, right, there's this like tab. If you can see, there's project on left, and then there is this kind of options, project, packages, and there is the Android. So Android is a very friendly view where you can see all your Android files. So I'll like just open all of them so that we can look into them one by one. So there's this app module. So in Android, actually, we can make many modules. So the app is your main module, which is created by default. You can rename it to something else, but it's okay to keep it default. And then inside that you have this manifest file. So this manifest is where you declare about your Android project. So basically, let me try to make it bigger. Okay, yeah. So here, what you can do is, you will see the name of your app. You can set your icon, the main icon of your app, your theme, and on the top of it, you can see some kind of package name. Okay, and here are your some kind of activity declaration. So you can show some kind of activity declaration. Okay, and this all is enclosed in the application tag. And you can have more than one activity. Right now we have just one activity because we created a new project. And then so this is kind of like your main main manifest, where you declare about your app. And then once you try to publish it to Google, like Google Play Console, they will read this information and adjust and take this information to present it to people. And when people run app on your phone, this manifest will be used to kind of let device know that what is the main activity, what is the fragment, and what are some other things. We will look into them also. Okay, so then we go to this Java folder. So unfortunately, as of now, when you create a project, it's always this folder called Java. It should be Kotlin by now, but yeah. So inside you have this kind of package name. So this package is kind of your path, and then you have your main activity, and it created two fragments inside. So fragment is kind of child of activity. So activity is like I will say the main thing, which has kind of life cycle. So let's look into activity. So activity is your entry point to the app. So activity has this kind of callbacks, or I will say some kind of default functionals. It's extended from this thing called app compat activity, so that it's compatible for all devices as well. And then you have on create, which is the, like, once this callback is called, then it tries to draw everything on the screen. So basically it gets some kind of XML file where you define your view. It set up everything for you, and then you can put your UI components here. And then over there you can also see two other callbacks. See, my screen is very small. I'll try to make it bigger. Okay, wait a second. Let me just try to make it more bigger. Presentation. Okay, yeah. Okay. Somehow I cannot make it bigger, but yeah, let me continue from here. So so this is two options for menu, where you can have this kind of menu. I will show you once I run this app. And you can add more menus, and when user click on the menu, you can do some kind of action. And we quickly go through two other folders. So this one on the left is basically testing. So you need to test, you should test your app. So this is kind of instrumentation test and unit test. So these two tests are attached here. So actually they just generate a default file for you, but later you can come and change it here. So all the apps or the companies out there, they write their unit test and instrumentation test before delivering their app to customers. And then there is this folder called res. So these are resources. You have drawable folders. So in drawable, you have all these XML files. Then you have layout. Layout is like where you define your layout, linear layout, your relative layout. Yeah, we will look into this also. Menu is, I just explained to you, this is your menu. Then map is more like your icon, app icon. So here you can set it. Navigation is your navigation. So we'll look into this also. Values are some kind of your colors. So here actually you can define your colors. And then you can also see dimensions. These are your dimensions, because a thing with Android is like Android devices have different sizes. So usually you don't hard code these kind of values. You put it in this kind of values. So this is the default values. But if I want, let's say, values for a French language font, then I can put values -fr. So those kind of values will be read in French language app, and those will be applied, because usually some of the European languages are like bigger, like the translation from English to French takes more characters. So that's how you can adjust. And also you can like have some values for tablets. So you can write values minimum width, let's say 700 or 600. Then above that will be tablet. So we'll look into this later. And then there is this folder called themes. Here you have your theme. So this is your primary theme. You have those kind of primary colors, secondary colors, and your accent colors, your status bar color. You can add more colors here. And then there is this new thing called theme night, actually. So this one is actually for night mode, because now Android supports night mode as well. So you can write, you can add some kind of colors for your, if the person has set night mode and your app supports night mode, then you can set those values here. And then at the bottom is the Gradle script. So this Gradle script is, the first one is your project level file. Okay. And the second one is kind of your app level. So this is the app. So if you have more modules, it will be for more. Then you have this kind of tag. So this is the Android tag. Here you can write your compile SDK version, which is Android 11, which is SDK level 30. Then you have some default config, your application ID, which will be when you release the app on Google Play, it will be like this. Then you have the minimum SDK version, which I selected as KitKat. Then target SDK version and compile SDK versions are usually same. So once you have target SDK version 30, it means you can use all the new APIs. Yeah. And then you can have your version code, which is for internal use, but version name is something which is appearing on Google Play, your version of the app. And then we have build types. So we can have release and debug build. And then also for new projects, we should use Java version 1.8. Okay. So in below, you can find this folder called dependencies. So this dependencies is, okay, let me cancel this thing. Yeah. So this dependencies folder actually can tell you what are the external libraries you are using, because we created a default project. So we are just using everything by default from Android, like from Google. We are not using any third party or open source library at the moment. Yeah. And the versioning is important. You can see it's version 1.2.0, 1.2.1. So every time there's a new version, you have to come and update the version here and then test your app again. So now let's try to run our app. So if you go on the top right, there is this option like you will see app, and then there is this Xiaomi Mi Max 2S selected. So this is my device which is connected to the phone, which connected to the MacBook. But I will actually create a new emulator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this AVD manager. Okay. So now I can create a new virtual device. I have already some devices here, but I just want to demo you how to create a new device. So you can create a new virtual device. Okay. And over here, actually, I can choose the phone, and there are like Pixel 4. Let's try to create Pixel 4. And then I can choose resolution, density, and like those kind of things. So I will just go with the default, click next. And then here it shows me API level. What's the API level, maximum API level, or which version of Android it is running. So I will choose Android 10, which is Android Q. Then also have x86 images. So one thing to note is like once your emulator hardware is a bit different from your actual phone, so it is good for testing the app or something, but in long run you will need an Android device. Yeah. So I will just click next. I will just keep all default here. No need to change anything. And the name of the AVD virtual device is Pixel 4 API level 929. I will press finish, and then it will create this device for me. Then I can just press, just close this window. And then now I will run my app on the top menu here. And then I will select Pixel 4 API 19. So you guys can take a look. Let me screenshot for you so you guys are clear. So I think this is better. So I can show you this kind of Pixel 4 API level 19. Let me open this for you so that we know like what's going on. Okay. So I can make it bigger for you guys, right? So you guys can look. So this will be like there's an app. There's this app module selected. Then there is Pixel 4 API 19, and then there will be a play button. Okay. So I'll click on play, and it will start an emulator. So the emulator is starting here. Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah. So yeah, so this is just starting like Android 10 OS version. So this is where we can run our app and test our app. We don't need to buy a phone. This can run on your Android. This can run on your Android. I mean, this can run on Windows, Linux, and Mac at the same time. So you can see that, okay, our build finished and installing the app on this phone. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So meanwhile, my computer is very slow now. So kind of. Yeah, so this is where I think you have to be a bit like, because first time when you are opening this kind of emulator, right, it will slow down your computer. And suddenly I saw my memory got like very low, and I was kind of stuck. Yeah. Yeah. So next time you will come and start this phone, right? It will be already in your memory somewhere, sitting in cache. So it will be much faster. So now our phone started, and we are going to see something coming up. Our app is going to come. Okay, so our app launched here. So this is the default app we created from Android Studio. And on the bottom right, you can see this kind of button called, let me make it bigger for you guys. Okay. So you can see this button, mail kind of button. So I click on this one. So it just shows a post message. And then I have my first fragment here. And then I have this menu I showed you earlier. So this is just settings, but I don't think will do anything for now. And then I click on next. I have my second fragment. Yeah, so I can go previous or next. Yeah. So let's try to change something. Let's go to our main activity. Okay, so in the main activity, we see is, okay, so we will go inside this XML file. So this XML is where you can design your UI. Okay. Okay, so here by default in new Android Studio, right, it is opening kind of, I will say, this kind of view. Okay. But yeah. Okay, wait a second. Yeah, so this is the design view, but we can change to split view on the right side. So in the split view, you will see both design and the XML file contents. So okay. Just give me 1 second. I will share my screen again with you guys. Just give me 1 second. I will share just Android Studio with you guys so that we can have a better look of it. Just give me a few more moments. Okay. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. So here you guys can see my Android Studio. I think now much better, so I can play around with it more. Okay, so you can see on the right side here, there is this XML. And then, sorry, on the left side, there's XML file. On the right side, there are views. So whatever changes I made here will appear here. So it's good to basically like play around with it, see how it looks like. And here you can see like it shows you Android device. You can change the Android device, like what kind of phone you are looking for. Mostly it will show you Google devices. And you can also change the API level. So I will change to 29 because our phone is, I'll change to and Pixel 4. Just now I selected Pixel 4, right? And then Android level 29. Yeah. And yeah, so I will make it a bit bigger for you guys. Yeah. So here, basically, this is for a developer kind of design tool. So you don't need actual designer here. Yeah. So designer will give you some kind of specs in, let's say, Zeppelin, Sketch, or nowadays Figma is popular. But basically, you will use this tool to kind of, design your app. Okay. So let's see. I click on this, right, floating action button. So actually, maybe I don't need this floating action button. So I can kind of remove it here. So I commented it out, then it's less like doing nothing. I mean, it's just disappeared from here. And then I have this coordinate layout, which is the overall main layout. And then inside I have this app bar layout. So app bar layout is more like the toolbar on the top, because nowadays you have this toolbar where you can have navigation, you can have title, those kind of things. And then I have my main layout in the middle here. So we are going to look into the main layout. So I open this and also showing me this similar kind of design view. I'll change to split view. So here you can see instead of some kind of linear layout or frame layout or relative layout, there are three kinds of layout. I have a fragment here. So this fragment is more like connected to this new thing called navigation. I will not go go into more details into this, but just like want to share. Okay, so this is like I mean the kind of you can say like you can have one activity and you can have multiple fragments inside, and fragments life cycle depends on activities life cycle. So if there is no activity, there is no fragment, but one activity can swap fragments, one or two, and can manage their life cycle. So my fragment is actually connected to a navigation kind of graph. So this is a bit advanced, but we can just look into this very quickly. So this is a navigation graph. So this navigation graph basically tells me, okay, if I click on this next button, I can go to the new fragment, which is the second fragment. Okay, here, this next button. But when I click on the previous button, it can go back to the first fragment. So this is kind of my navigation graph. And when I go to the split mode, actually I can also see like it has defined two fragments. Fragment one, this one, you have to have this ID to identify a fragment. Then second fragment is second fragment. So you cannot have the same name, it will conflict. So you need to have a unique name. And then these are the names of the fragment. So these are basically, we will look into this. We'll find in the code. So this is the name of my fragment. Okay, so there's this action thing. So action is saying that, okay, when I click on like this action, this one, next button or something, so it has to perform an action is to go to second fragment. And then once in second fragment, I click on this previous button, it will go back to first one. So this is how this is the new navigation graph in Android Studio. It's a bit advanced, I would say, but if you're developing a new app, I think it's easy to get started. But for existing apps, might be difficult to change the flow. Okay, let's go back to our project template, on the left side, all the project. And then here we can see, okay, so far we have discovered everything. Then there are some kind of things called ProGuard. So ProGuard is, I will say, is more like optimizing your resources, removing some unnecessary files, and basically kind of shortening your name of your activities and classes so that people cannot find the code. And then we have some Gradle properties. So here we just like, this is for your Android Studio settings or your project settings. You can define some kind of code style. You want to use Android X, and some kind of how much memory you are allocating to your Android Studio. And then we have settings.gradle. This is also, it shows you the modules of the app, and in the project root name. And then there are some local properties. So these local properties are local to your because once you are sharing this project with many people, everyone have this local.properties folder content in on your computer, and this is usually not committed inside the versioning system. Okay, so this is basically some of the overview of like the app structure and everything. And on the left side, you will see a tab on left bottom is called build variants. So build variant is like your app has a debug and release variant. So debug is where actually you can see logs. So if I go and open this bottom tab called logcat, so here actually I can see the logs. So I have my emulator Pixel 4. Then I have this app open by default. In here actually I can see all the logs, but right now we are not showing any logs or something. Yeah, but you can see all the debug logs here. And then this is the release version. Build variant. So release is usually for Google Play, where you disable all the logs because you don't want to reveal any information from your app, and also optimize your app. So release is when you are preparing kind of app for App Store, for Google Play Store. And how you build the APK. So there are two kind of formats. Let's say you want to build this project, this app, and send to your friend through Google Drive or in WhatsApp or whatever. You can build like you can click on build on top. You can build APK, or you can build a bundle as well. So what's the difference between APK and bundle? So APK is basically packaging all the things, all the resources and everything you have. But bundle is a new build format from Google. So bundle basically do the same thing, but when you upload on Google Play Console, right, from there it basically creates many variations of your APK. And once I download, I'm trying to download it on my phone, it will give you the specific resources, values, and all the stuff which is specific to my phone. Because previously I told you guys that let's go back to the project, right? So there's this resource folder, right? So there's this drawable. So this is the default drawable, but there are more variations of this drawable folder called drawable XHDPI, XXHDPI. So it's like based on different resolution or DPI of your phone. You have to add those resources, images, other kind of assets, and in values you have to add maybe translations. So there's this strings.xml, right? So this is by default in English. So if you want to have another kind of like let me just quickly create for you. So I will go inside that project. Just like give me 1 minute. I'm going to what I'm going to do is create another values folder. So let me create a new Android resource directory. So I will call it values. Let's call it French. Okay. So I'm going to create this folder, right? Then you can see. Okay, so I created this folder, and then let me create a value resource. I'll call it strings. I will add it in the French folder. Okay, so now you can see I have two strings. One is English and one is French. So I can copy this text here and paste here. So here actually I can rename my app to French, all the other text from English to French, or then I can have like more versions of it. I can have Chinese, I can have the Filipino language, yeah, and like Japanese. So I can manage many languages. So that's how you can localize your app and go global. Yeah. So yeah, so this is pretty much the basics of it. In what I'm going to do is going to write some logs for you guys so that we can debug our app. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to so this is the log library. So I can use many different kind of logs. There are different levels like verbose, debug, warning, error, or warning. So I'll just use default one. So here, the first is tag, where you give your main activity or the name of the activity. Then I will write own create method. So I just write this kind of log here, okay, and then what I'm going to do is run this app on the phone, the emulator we had earlier. What I'm going to do is because I was going for release, and release should be signed, right? So I just change it to the debug so I can see the logs. Then I will make it bigger here. So I'm running my app on my device. Okay, so it's previously you guys remember we removed this floating action button. So I'll just comment it out. Okay. So yeah, so I successfully built my app, and then it's running on the emulator, but you guys can see this log, right? So I wrote this log on create. Okay, so this log appear here. So this is how actually we can debug our app. If there's some problem, we put these kind of logs. So if I select to debug, so this is a debug log. So this like different kind of logs. Yeah. So yeah. So yeah. So this is a good way to basically do the basics in debug your layer. So let's discuss a bit of Android kind of life cycle. So yeah. So before that, let me share something with you guys very quickly. Okay. So I'll just summarize what I said today. Okay. I will share one of the Chrome tab. Okay, yeah. So I think you guys have this code labs, right? So you are going to try this code labs. So for me, it's just give you the what we did so far, so that everyone is on the same page. So what we did is we have Android Studio, and the layout here might be different from mine, but this is, I think, for Windows. If you are using Windows, we created a new Android Studio project. So in this template, in this code lab, they did with the empty activity, but we choose the basic activity. And then we like gave a name of our project. And then also we set the minimum SDK. So this is the same thing I showed you just earlier. Okay. And yeah. Okay. So I also showed you this Gradle. How long Gradle? Gradle is like which is building your project. And okay, I think my screen is not shared with you guys. Yeah. Okay, it's shared. Okay, so next one is kind of I explained to you guys how to run your app on a virtual device. So it's called emulator. We created an emulator by going to AVD Manager, and over there we created a new virtual device. For us, we selected Pixel 4, and then we selected API level 19. Okay, and then we ran the emulator and install our device, and you saw my computer hang for some time. But it's very natural, very normal, even for a powerful laptop. Yeah, and then I could run my app on an emulator. So this is a good tool actually. Okay, to try out. Yeah, I mean, without having a real device. So what I'm going to show you is now a real device. So I have a real device with me. Let me try to connect real device. So for real device, there's like this kind of mirroring tools which you can use. So let me see if I have any mirroring tool. Okay, yeah, why is that? Okay, so okay, yeah. So let me share my screen for Android Studio again with you guys. Okay, so yeah, we are in Android Studio again, and I have okay, guys. So I'm starting this new application. It's called Wiser. So it's available for Android, iOS, and Windows. So this is where I can mirror my phone and show you guys the real Android device. Yeah, my real Android device is a Xiaomi phone here. Yeah, but I have to somehow mirror for you guys. So meanwhile, I'm installing all this. Okay, then I think let me just start this one. Okay, so okay, yeah. So okay, so I can see my so this is, I think you guys can see my screen. So this is my Xiaomi device. Okay, and what I'm going to do is to change from running device from Pixel to a Xiaomi device. This is the real device, and I'm going to install my app on a real device. Then you guys can see this will come in on this phone. Let's just give it a few seconds. Okay, so yeah, because of the security reason. So the thing is, like, this software I use. Yeah, so now is the landscape mode. I'll go to portrait mode. Okay, so you can see, like, I can run this on a real device, and the real device is here with me. But I just mirror it for you guys. Yeah. And then the same kind of thing I can see here. Yeah. Okay. So I think I can just cross it here. Okay. So I think we don't need it anymore. Okay. So I think let's just go and actually explore a bit more about Android. So I think what we can do is try out this code lab, a bit of this code lab, right? So I'll come back to Okay, because Android has like endless possibilities. You can do all sorts of things. So I can just explain to you about the structure and getting started with everything. Okay. So this Android Code Lab, sorry, it's using Android 3.6, but I think it's okay to use the latest version. This is updated on November 6, 2020. As of now, there is 4.1 version already. Yeah. So yeah, so it basically tells you the same kind of steps. And actually, I think this created the same app what we created earlier. Okay, and yeah, the basic activity and yeah. So yeah, so it's also exploring, I think, more kind of visuals here better. It shows you your like the main app project structure, which is your main module. Inside that, you have all those Kotlin classes, your resources, your strings with translations and without translations, and also your themes, colors, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so and then it also explains to you, okay, so your top level package, then you have test, some kind of folders created for test. Later, if you want to write tests for your apps, you can write here. Then you have this MIP map, which is for your app icon. Then you have the navigation, which I explained to you. Also explains about emulator. We're going to skip this part. Okay. And then we also ran the device, this kind of thing on our device. Okay. And then we had this menu with settings. Okay. So let's go to the next. So here we will, I already explained to you about the layout editor. So this layout editor is something like this. You can see a layout here, and then there is the main activity. So in main activity, there were two fragments. Fragment first, and by default, I show you is showing the design module. Then I can go to split mode where I can see them side by side. So let me try to change something here and see if it's kind of, you can see the this kind of layout width and layout height. So this is this parameter called wrap content. So wrap content basically is like based on the size of your text, like how much characters there are, it will wrap it around it. Yeah. But actually we can set it to our own value. So for me is like, let's say 80 dp. So basically we use this thing called dp, which is kind of not like exactly pixels, because like you know, if we write pixels, right, so pixels for every device are different. So this dp is basically what we set is has a conversion, so it can adjust according to that device. Yeah. So so there is like the base is 1, then you have 1.5x, 2x, 3x. So we use dp, which is the device independent pixels. Yeah. So I put it 80. Let me try to make it a bit bigger to show you. Okay, so I put 200 dp, right? So now it's getting bigger. Then I can change my height to 60 dp as well. Okay. So, but it's not a good practice to basically write these kind of things here. Instead, you should write in dimension. So I will write, let's say, button width. And then I will write dimension button height. Okay, so now I haven't declared in that folder, right? So what I'm going to do is open my dimension folder. and I'm going to create a new dimension. I will name it button height. I will give it 60 dp. So the good practice is like, because you are using this button throughout your application, right? So to go and change in any activity or any XML is troublesome. So basically, you have this kind of dimension file where you can change in one place. So it's, I mean, it's all for convenience purposes, and also at the same time, you can have this kind of values for different devices, tablets, your phone. I mean, you have like foldable phones now as well. So you have all those crazy dimensions. Yeah. So this was 200 dp. Then I will go back to here. So you see it turned green. Now we are all good. And you can see like the default color of this is kind of purple. So where is it coming from? It's coming from this theme. So if I see the themes, right, so it's coming from this theme. So here we have the kind of primary variant, which like color primary. So it's coming from here. Then we have the night mode as well. Yeah. So I can change it to some other value without any problem. Yeah. Yeah. So the new Android Studio basically shows you the color tags on the left. So it's easy to visualize and know. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's go back to this tutorial. So we just looked into this. This is just a summary of it. In the middle, we have this design editor. We can actually drag and drop those objects as well. On the left is a palette where we can see all those components. And then we have a component tree, then some attributes. So let me just show to you quickly. Okay, let's go to this one. And I will go to the design one. So you can see the palette on the left, showing me those kind of components. So I can basically, let me try to add a text view here. So I can just drag and drop here, and I can write that. So I can basically, on the right side, there are some kind of attributes. Okay, so yeah. And here on the right bottom, there is this default text. I can change to welcome to Android Workshop. Okay, so I change this. Then actually I can make it like center. You see this kind of line coming in. So I can make it like center, and then I can run on my device to check it out as well. So let's just wait for it. So this is for absolute beginners actually, but like more like once you kind of get more familiar and get more used to this, then actually, yeah, you will be. Oh, I don't know what's happening here. Let's some error. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's try to build it. It's giving me some kind of error. I'm not sure what's the error here. So this is how, I mean, usually for developers, they are more comfortable writing in this kind of XML file instead of drag and drop here. So drag and drop is, I would say, mostly for absolute beginners. Like, some people are used to making websites using Wix or WordPress, so they are like more familiar with this kind of drag and drop. So yeah. Yeah. So usually, emulator sometimes can make your computer slow as well. So I'm just worried that my computer should not crash during presentation. Okay, so yeah, I'll just like give it some time. Yeah. So any things you add here, right? You can see the preview immediately here as well. And on the top right, so there is this button with this arrow. So this is kind of sync project with Gradle file. So what is your Gradle file? So Gradle file is basically managing your project and everything. If I go in, let's say change something. So I go and change something. Let's change to 29. So I will change compile SDK 29 as well. So once you change, right, you have to sync it. So there's this message coming up. So I will try to sync up again. So it will run and build your project again. So this is more like compiling your project. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. And yeah. So let me try to run it on my device first and see what was the error we were facing previously. So meanwhile it's running, right, then I can go back and share with you guys. Okay, so it's ran on my device. I can show you. Try to mirror for you. Okay, so I think you can see my screen. So you can see like when I drag and drop my text, right? So basically I didn't keep kind of constraints. So this text is basically like on top. So let's try to fix it and see how can we fix it. Okay. So we go back to Android Studio. Okay, go back to fragment first. Okay, so you can see like, okay, so there's this absolute X and absolute Y. So I will remove it, and basically I'm going to what I'm going to do is first of all take this text and put it in the center here. Okay, and then I'm going to give it these kind of constraints. Okay, so yeah, so basically what I'm going to do is and then this one should go. Yeah, okay, so this is how I moved all my view, changed a bit. So this is basically some kind of constraints you can set here. So because we are using a constraint layout, yeah, so it's like a new way of defining your UI. So I will run this on my device and show you how did it change. Okay, so So I'll run again on my device. So you can see like I kind of fixed it. So I move it to a bit different. So basically what I'm doing is I'm giving this constraint, right? Okay, so this text view, I added new one, should be below the text view first. And then this button should be below this text view one. So this is how I can order them. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, let's get back to the our tutorial. Okay. So here I showed you this kind of things already. Yeah. Okay. So later, I think it's good for you to revise it. Okay. So I just explained to you, like for a layout, for example, a text view, we have this kind of basic parameters like layout width, height, and the text. So we usually don't hard code it. Wrap content is kind of, it depends on the size of your text. It can wrap, yeah, right. But sometimes it's not a good choice. Yeah, if your text is very big, it can go like button can go very big. So usually you try to, if your text is changing in runtime, then it's not a good choice. And then you will have, I mean, here it shows you like you can bring your text from your text view to a string file, and here you can localize it as well. You can change to different language. Okay. So yeah, so in we just like explained about the color. So you will have some default Android colors, but you can define your own colors at the same time as well. In these kind of attributes I showed you just now. So let's go to next, and we can have more color resources, but by default I show you we have this kind of color primary, then primary dark. So this is coming from material theme. If you guys are familiar with Android material theme, yeah, so this is coming from there. And then we have, we can also set the fonts, styling, all these kind of things on our hello world, any kind of text. Okay, so you can set the screen background as well. And I showed you like Android Studio will show you this kind of colors for visually to recognize them. And then we also discussed, yeah, so these are the material theme colors I told you. So this is kind of new color palette in Android Studio, which is based on material colors. Okay, so yeah, here we can change the background of our activity or fragment. So let's go to next. Okay, so I think you can try this code lab later also, because everything, if it's hands-on, is it makes more sense. Yeah. So this kind of like widget. So what's happening is like you can have some kind of margins on left, right, and left, right, bottom, and top. So that you give some spacing between all those text views, buttons. Yeah. So this is all about designing your UI based on the specs you get from designers, or based on your how you like it, how you want it. Yeah. So before starting this kind of stuff, it's good to either draw on a paper or use some tools like proto.io, which is free one. Where you can draw a prototype, and then you come to Android Studio. It'll be easy to design and follow what you already have. Okay, so this is just explaining the things I showed you earlier. Okay, yeah, so how to design your buttons and stuff. Okay, yeah, so yeah, so and then you can have some kind of text alignment. So previously, I remember we don't have this kind of graphical tools. We just used to have everything done in the code, but now you have kind of graphical tools as well. So here you are going to add some background to the colors. You have some kind of left margin. So I think there's two things you need to know is padding and margin. So margin is with the border of your button, with another element. Padding is like inside your text and this of your border here. Yeah. So some people are confused between margin and padding as well. Yeah. And yeah, so this is the code lab. You are going to try it later. Okay. And there are some more advanced things, kind of. So this is kind of auto import. When you are using some kind of classes from Android Studio, it will auto import the library for you. So let's go and look. Where is this option? It's in the preferences. I think by default, maybe it will be on. So let's see, where is it? So it's an other setting, auto import. Because I'm using the auto import, let's see if I can find it. Okay, so auto import it's here, and okay, so for me, you can see like this kind of setting I have for Java, and there is for Kotlin. Let's see what they are saying to us. So they are asking us to add the unambiguous imports on fly. So let's try to add this stuff. Let's do for Kotlin also. We will apply it, and we are going to try it how it works. So this is my main Android activity. So what I can do is, so in Kotlin, actually, I can declare a variable, something like this, text view. I can do text view. So it can import that text view for me here. So you can see like on the fly, it will import this kind of things for me. So yeah. So yeah. So let me just name it here. So I can just put it here. Okay. Yeah, and I can put it as a null. Okay. Just like, yeah. Okay. So yeah, so I can define my kind of values here. Yeah. So this is to import this kind of thing. We had the settings before. Let me just delete it for now. And then there's this toast message I showed you guys. So this toast message code is basically here. This is called a snack bar. So snack bar is just like if you, let's say this was a floating button, right? So I'm going to go and enable the floating button. We had somewhere, let's just enable it. We deleted earlier. This was the floating button. Let's just enable it. Okay. Okay, so in the main activity. Okay, yeah. So when this is clicked, there is a on click listener. So this on click listener will give you the view, and inside this you can do some kind of action. So here we have this kind of snack bar, which is explained in this tutorial as well. Yeah. So all the buttons, views, and text views will have this kind of on click listener. It can basically detect the click, and then you can perform any action inside it. Okay, so also here this tutorial will explain to you how to increase the count value and manage the objects or the variables in your code. Yeah. Okay, so so the task number 9. So total, I think there are around 10 tasks. So we are at number 9. Then basically when you follow this tutorial and everything, right, you will get used to writing your application, and all the code, I mean, you haven't realized it's all in Kotlin at here actually. Yeah. So there's like no kind of rocket science. It's just like if you're coming from Java background, it will be very much straightforward for you guys. Yeah. So yeah, in I think it's like almost the end of this code lab. And I think so once you finish this code lab, you will get this kind of badges. And I think I saw in the slides in the beginning there were some like prizes for people who are going to finish it. Yeah, and let's just like discuss. Okay, so what's next for you guys? So at the end of this code lab, you will see some kind of written tutorials for Android developer fund related to Android. There's Kotlin Bootcamp code labs, which is shared by the community here. Then there are some kind of online courses you can take, and yeah, and I can share my slides with you guys again. Okay, let me share my slides. Okay. So here I'm going to share like additional courses with you guys. So I just explained to you guys about code labs. Okay. So these code labs actually you can try for not just Kotlin, but you can try about any other things related to Android. So they're very helpful. And then there's like kind of summits. So this is a YouTube channel of Android developers. You can go and watch talks. They are very interesting talks about all the new stuff which is happening. Please subscribe to it so you can get notifications about all new updates related to Android. And I also recommend you guys to go on Twitter, follow some Android developers, so that like you are on top of everything. And then these are some courses on Udacity. They are free. There's this Kotlin Bootcamp. I highly recommend you. It has many small projects. And then you can take kind of Android nano degree to show off, to get this kind of certificate. I had this a few years ago. Okay. And then there is this Android developer certification, which can help you to get jobs here. So having said that, I think it's pretty much end of my presentation. So I will just start taking your questions now. So let me go and see questions. The first question I got here is, can I call Android or other Java language library APIs from Kotlin? Yeah, so Kotlin and Java work side by side. Actually, Kotlin is also compiled to this thing called JVM, Java Virtual Machine, and you can use them together in one project. So you write you have your previous project written in Java, you can call it in Kotlin. If you have a project or the files in Kotlin, you can call them in Java. Yeah. So the second question is, okay, we can start Q&A. So I'm just starting to take your questions. So the second question is, can I use both Java files and Kotlin files in the same project? Yes, you can do it. When you're creating a new file, you can choose programming languages as Java or Kotlin. Yeah, so the extension for Kotlin is KT, for Java is .java. Yeah. And another question I got is, does Kotlin work with JS libraries? So Kotlin is a multi-platform language. Let me just share that thing with you guys. So this will be helpful. So Kotlin can be used to actually develop many kind of platforms. It can use to make an iOS app, to make kind of browser applications. So this is where JS files and Kotlin can sit side by side. You write your code in Kotlin, but compile to JavaScript, which can run on web actually. Yeah. And there was also one question about use of fragments. So fragments, right? I think you can consider, okay, activity is kind of the main, and within one activity, you can have multiple fragments. So just one example is, you see the bottom navigation, like there are 4 navigation tabs, or there are the top navigation, there are like 3-4 tabs, right? So you consider all that screen to be one activity, and then every tab is a fragment, so you can switch between those fragments. So fragments are a bit lightweight, but their life cycle is dependent on activity. If activity is destroyed, your fragment will be destroyed as well. Yeah. What items are important in every Android project? So what are the for Android, right? Android Studio is important. Then nowadays you have to use Kotlin, because all new projects and help is available in Kotlin. Then important is writing tests for your code, because humans can make many mistakes, right? Once you have some kind of program running, it cannot make mistakes. It cannot be very kind to you. It will be cruel to you. So it will help you in long term. Yeah. And try to read new documents. Try to read developer.android.com documentation first, then refer to some blog post. Yeah. So I think this is very good time to learn mobile development. But what I suggest people is start with very simple, like native programming, like Kotlin for Android, Swift for Xcode for iOS programming. And I think the tip I will go is like watch like many YouTube videos, or sign up for those free courses, and be regular. Set aside 30 minutes every day. It's all about programming. It's all about practice. So if you like don't do programming or not be regular, you will forget everything. So I think the most important thing for mobile development or any kind of programming is be regular. And I think there are like so many jobs for mobile development. I mean, I told you, like, you just need a computer, Windows computer, and you can use emulator. You don't need to buy an Android phone as well if you don't have your personal Android phone. And then you can just follow the online course, go through the contents, and try to make your own projects, and then publish them on GitHub or on internet somewhere, share with your friends, so that once you apply for jobs later, you have some projects already with you. Yeah. So let's move to the next questions. No, fragments are not objects. So for me, let's just share with, I will share with you fragments. Android, the official documentation. Let's just read it. Yeah. Let me share my screen with you guys. Okay, so what is a fragment? So fragment is the important thing is kind of, I told you activity, right? So activity is like where, like, it has your UI, it has some kind of life cycle. Life cycle means like when activity is created, when activity is destroyed. This is where all your interactions and all your code runs in. Fragment is a lighter version of activity. Fragments, the advantage of fragments is that they are reusable components. So I gave you example of like you have kind of a navigation tabs like 3 or 4, so you can have one activity and 4 fragments over there, and then you can easily switch between one fragment to another, and then you can reuse them as well. And fragment can also be your pop-up or dialog coming in. Yeah. And you can see like, okay, so what's the advantage of another advantage of fragment is I have this kind of tablet screen. Okay, so here I can have kind of 2 fragments. Left fragment is more like the navigation. Right one is where actually what I can do is like I can reuse this fragment for like when you click on any of the menu, I can change it to that one. So yeah, and then on the smaller screen, my UI will be something like this. Yeah. So yeah, so I think there's like a lot of discussion and debate about, is it like you want to use a single activity application where you can use many fragments, or you want to use more and more like activities, so you don't use fragments. So there's some debate, so I recommend you go to watch these 2 videos. Yeah, I will just like post this link for you. Yeah, so I think somebody can share maybe with you on the comments. Okay, the next question, please. Okay, so next question I am reading in the private chat is any alternative ID for Android Studio that doesn't consume much of the PC laptop resources. So there is, I mean, there used to be Eclipse. I'm not sure if people are using Eclipse as of now. There's one from JetBrains. Let me share with you that one. This their ID. It's called IntelliJ ID. You can use that one also for Android apps. But unfortunately, there's the best is Android Studio. Okay, so let me share with you. So this one I had is IntelliJ ID. Okay, so I was kind of using it to basically make a multi-platform project where I can have iOS, Android apps. So actually, you can use it to make Android apps as well. And you can see it's pretty much, I mean, pretty much it looks like Android Studio, because Android Studio is also based on this IntelliJ ID. So you can see you can run on device here. And I have this kind of simple application or something, and also has a similar kind of tabs, Android project. So you will be a little confused about this. So I think you can try this one and see if it helps you with those memory issues or performance. Okay, so yeah, I'm just waiting for any new questions from you guys. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, yeah.
All right. So thank you so much all
All right.
for participating investing in
So
our.
thank you so much, Sir
Yeah,
Thank you
Hassan,
so
for answering questions from our audience.
yeah, no problem.
And yes, we would like to thank you for your sharing your knowledge
Okay,
and
no problem.
experience
So I mean, yeah,
to us.
yeah,
And I hope,
yeah. So if they have any other
all right.
questions,
So,
yeah,
um, ah,
I think
yes.
it's a bit like
Do
laggy.
you
Yeah, so
have
I was
any
just yeah, I
social
was
medias
just
where they can connect to you, sir?
uh yeah. So I will share my social media, Facebook or Twitter, with you guys. Let me just write in the private chat. So this is my Twitter. And let me see what's my Facebook. Okay, and then I will share with you. So I mean, they can reach out to me with any help. I'm always helping students with getting started with Android. Not only Android, you can ask me related to any other programming languages, or if you want to be mobile developer, not only Android, iOS, or you have some questions about your career path, feel free to reach me out. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, go Fidel.
All right, so sir, to express our gratitude to you, we would like to give this certificate of appreciation for your willingness to share time and expertise as a speaker in the Philippine Android Weekend 2020. So,
And
Oh,
on
thank you so
behalf
much.
of the
That is so
developer
nice.
yes.
and on behalf of the Developer Student Clubs Philippines, we want to thank you once again, Mr. Hassan, for joining us here today.
So, okay, all right. So I think I hope na our participants learned so many things regarding building their own Android, and hopefully many have been inspired to pursue mobile development career. And all right, so let's have a quick stretching before we proceed. Let's have a quick break or something.
All right. Yes, guys, if you have snacks with you, you may eat them and pair it with your coffee because this time, in a while, we will about to hear an inspirational journeys from one of the Google developer experts.
Okay, so all right. So we will be back for um hmm, we will be back for 10 minutes, and after our short break, we will be proceeding to our second part of this day 2 of the Philippine Android Weekend 2020.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you'll still be with us later.
Yes. All right.
Developer Student Clubs train thousands of student developers globally and work with their communities to solve real-life problems. Google selects amazing students from across the globe once a year to be a Developer Student Club lead and start a club on their campus. These leads believe knowledge is power and that technology can do extraordinary things for the world. They take on the responsibility to help students learn and empower these students to solve real problems around them. Join us in building a global community for students.
Hi, my name is Shazib Kazmi, and if I am selected as a DSC lead, my club would be based on these three ideas: inclusive, practical, and casual. So I believe that nobody owns the rights to education and it should be open to everybody. So my club activities would be open to all the students in my campus so that I can reach as many students and impact as many lives as possible. Second is practical. So as the idea behind DSC that we should bridge the gap between theory and practice, so my club would place a heavy emphasis on the practical knowledge of students, because in the real world, practical skills are more important than the theoretical part which are being taught in our classrooms. Lastly, casual. So in our classrooms, the relationship between students and teachers is quite formal, which keeps students from asking the real questions which they want. The peer-to-peer nature of our club would ensure that students can ask the question which they truly want to really clear their ideas. And that would be the community which I would build if I'm selected as a DSC lead.
When I came to first year, I found it difficult navigating a lot of facilities on campus. Most first year students, they found it a major challenge. So I said, okay, this is something that we really need to solve. The DSC is a community where students who are like-minded come together to learn technologies in cloud, Android development, and web development. So after a few workshops, I figured that we could solve accessibility for first year students. We decided to use the mall as a use case to build a navigation system using AR technology. At first, people were like, this is really a complex problem to solve. But then after we broke the problem down, we realized that all the technologies we had to use, we had already learned them in our DSC workshops.
When I heard about it, I was like, David, I need to join this project because I was lost basically the entire first academic year. And that's what DSC does. It gives you a project and it makes sure that you are well equipped to work on the project.
So we had a lot of volunteers and we broke them into teams. First, we had a Blender team to get a 3D model of the building. Then we had the Unity and Scripted team who got the models and made it interactive and available to the Android team, who built the screens and the app and used Firebase, which stores user data and for business analytics. And we had a UI team who created a designer set and all the dynamic interfaces you see. Last, we had a documentation team who put everything into one file to make it available to the open source community.
My name is Paul and I study chemistry. I got inspired by attending one of the DSC seminars.
I'm actually very impressed about my brother's journey here because as a computer science student, I just have to focus on the PC parts, computer building apps, but he has something else to do. But he's still taking some time off to help us and he's really doing a good job.
Now I can build Android apps. That means I can use that as a part-time job and maybe chemistry as my full-time job, or maybe the vice versa.
There were times that we had to meet in the evenings. There were times we had to meet early in the morning just to get the project working.
It was hard, but then we looked at the bigger picture and realized that, okay, we can do this. So, yeah. DSC is a family and it's about the learning of teamwork and leadership.
What we've built is not a perfect app, but we've come a long way by being able to use the knowledge that we gain from our DSC workshops. My God, this is cool. Who wouldn't love this?
Saya dilahirkan di Bojonegoro. Ibu saya mendidik saya boleh bermain, tapi bermainnya itu nggak boleh jauh-jauh. Terus saya melihat kakak saya kebanjiran, yang paling parah itu tahun 2007, di mana rumahnya itu sangat tenggelam, banyak korban jiwa yang ditimbulkan, dan kakak saya itu kehilangan.
Kemarin ya lumayan, kemarin. Ya.
Kalau airnya semakin tinggi kan, nggak bisa lalu lintas kendaraan kan nggak bisa lewat, kita biasanya pakai perahu. Palingnya kalau udah agak parah lagi kita ngungsi.
Warga juga pasti resah, kalau enggak sebelumnya belum diberitahu kan resah. Kalau sudah diberitahu kan nanti ada persiapan.
Saya ketika kuliah di PENS ini, saya pertama kali tahu DSC itu dari Dana. Seharusnya kita bisa menghindari hal buruk terjadi ketika kita mengetahui apa yang akan terjadi. Dana membantu saya sekali dalam hal tersebut bersama tim untuk membuat aplikasi L-Float.
Alatnya itu bersifat kayak misal di sini bakalan ada banjir dari pemerintah, bakalan langsung
tidak berdasarkan yang sebelumnya berdasarkan data kami, itu berdasarkan dari WhatsApp. Nanti setelah itu penduduk bisa ke posko terdekat. Di sini ada lokasi-lokasi poskonya. Terus kita bisa kayak ngeset arahnya belok kiri mau atau belok kanan itu ada. Karena kita memanfaatkan teknologi arahan juga dari Google. Oke, sudah selesai?
Oke, selesai. Kemudian kita mencoba ke sana, kita menunjukkan ke warga Bojonegoro.
Kalau sekarang kalau ada aplikasi ini kan bisa langsung masuk ke HP-nya masing-masing. Jadi semua warga langsung otomatis langsung tahu.
Di sini kita milik Balai Desa
Mulia Agung,
Petunjuk
ya.
Arah.
Ya.
Di sini kita bisa lihat di posko ini ada berapa banyak orang.
Membantu banget berarti ya, sangat amat membantu.
Iya. Ini rencana emang akan kami rilis ke Bojonegoro.
Oh gitu ya.
This is the power of DSC. Students all over the world, we can learn and teaching together and also to solve local problems.
Dengan adanya aplikasi Elford ini, saya merasa sangat senang sekali saya bisa membantu warga masyarakat Bojonegoro, terutama untuk kakak saya.
Hi, my name is Shazib Kazmi, and if I am selected as a DSC lead, my club would be based on these three ideas: inclusive, practical, and casual. So I believe that nobody owns the rights to education and it should be open to everybody. So my club activities would be open to all the students in my campus so that I can reach as many students and impact as many lives as possible. Second is practical. So as the idea behind DSC that we should bridge the gap between theory and practice, so my club would place a heavy emphasis on the practical knowledge of students, because in the real world, practical skills are more important than the theoretical part which are being taught in our classrooms. Lastly, casual. So in our classrooms, the relationship between students and teachers is quite formal, which keeps students from asking the real questions which they want. The peer-to-peer nature of our club would ensure that students can ask the question which they truly want to really clear their ideas. And that would be the community which I would build if I am selected as a DSC lead.
I'm really excited about this summit because I get to learn a lot of new stuff, and DSC really helps me to identify and make my skills grow.
DSCs are university-based student groups that come together and learn Google technology from each other.
In DSC, I could not only learn about technical skills related about technology, but also here I could learn about soft skills like leadership, communication, and also mentoring.
I've been developing NLP-based web applications at school, and with the Google technologies I learned at the summit, I'm looking forward to taking my project to the next level.
We expanded developer student clubs this year to more universities and more countries across Southeast Asia. It is this summit where their journey begins. Over the next 2 days, DSC leads learn vital technical, problem-solving and leadership skills from Googlers and industry experts before they go back to their universities to train more students, build projects and contribute back to the community.
The most memorable part of this summit is when we met other DC leads from different countries, learning their culture and sharing the same goal, and that is helping our fellow students with the use of technology.
The sessions that was most useful for me was how to build community, how to focus and respect the audience.
It's crucial that students are able to see the big picture and prepare themselves for their professional career. And that's what DSC does. It gives them a path for the future.
The DSC journey helped me build my passion in one area of technology and grow my career.
We want you to start connecting with, understand your community, understand your university, see what's going on in your city, talk to businesses, talk to NGOs, talk to your university, identify problem statements, and then work as a group to solve those problems and actually build solutions.
I'd like to make sure that no one in my community is left behind.
We're so excited to work with you all DSC leads from across the region, to see your career grow and support you solve local problems and create impact in your communities. DSC!
right, so welcome back. And I hope you have your you have eaten your snack, your dinner, or the dinner maybe, or stretch a bit. But yeah.
All right. Yes. I hope we also had your 2 hour breaks because tonight we will be with our second speaker, right, Fidel?
Yes, we will be with our second speaker who's been building Android apps for 6 years. And also, he
Right.
is currently a part of the Android team at Viki Singapore. So if you're fond of watching K dramas, maybe have you watch View, and Viki is like that. So you can watch K dramas with Viki. So right,
Right,
Kyra?
Fidel. And just to mention, yes, just to mention that the Viki app has been nominated for Google Play Awards, an Android Excellence Award, part of the Editor's Choice apps, and launch partners for Android Go and Instant apps. So, if you haven't
Wow.
tried Viki, you should. I think so, right?
This is not sponsored, by the way. So yeah, of course, it's incredible. And of course, he's not just an engineer, but also he's a big tennis and cricket fan. So we won't make this any longer. We may call on our second speaker, Mr. Sarab.
Good
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me. Do you see my screen and can you hear me? Just to get a confirmation. All right, okay. Great, so let's get started. I'll try to give you a sneak peek into the career as an Android dev. All right, I'll try to go around like how I got started, what you can do if you already have some information about Android or you're completely a new beginner. And at the end, we'll see a sneak tour of what your day would look like if you actually became an Android engineer, or the day part is very generic if you decide to pursue a career in mobile development. Right? Okay. So let's get started. First things up, I already had a great introduction, so you've already heard this. So I just quickly ramble it about. Yes, I'm a senior Android engineer, currently working at Rakuten Wiki, working on Android for close to about 6 years. This is actually my 7th year. And I'm a lot into tennis, cricket. There's a new hobby I've picked up recently called calisthenics. It's kind of like a sport where you use your own body weight to do weightlifting and weight training, but just by using your own body weight, using bars and pull-ups and stuff like that. And yes, mentioned already, I work at Rakuten Wiki, which again in the introduction was already mentioned. It's an OTT platform. It specializes in Korean content. One thing that wasn't mentioned, which I'll then specify now, is I was actually looking at it yesterday, and I realized Philippines is actually number 14. So it's one of the top 15 countries where our content is consumed globally. So I assume there are a bunch of Korean drama fans in Philippines, or not just Korean, like we have Japanese content and we also have Thai content. So I believe a lot of Asian content fan in Philippines out there. So if you've heard about Wiki, that'd be pretty great. We could talk about it later. You could drop me a message in the chat. If you haven't, give it a shot. It's a free app. It's also paid, but you can watch a lot of content for free. And you'll get a taste of what the effort or work that goes into building mobile apps. So, okay, that's a lot about what I do and where I work currently and talking about my company. So let's get started and look into how I started into Android development. So back then, even in university, I got out of university in about 2013 and I had no idea about mobile development. I hadn't pursued mobile development in university. Back then, we didn't even have clubs like DSC. So I'm really glad things like this exist now to give students an opportunity and an insight into what the future might be for them. But for me, I started off right outside university. There's a digital consultancy firm called 2359 Media. That's where I started with. And since it was a consultancy firm, the opportunity that it brought was that it allowed me to work on different type of apps. So not just one app, like which is what I do right now. Like Wiki, this is like a product-based app where you work on the same app day in, day out, with the idea being to improve the user experience, build new features and cool, exciting features, figure out how do you make money, how do you get users to pay for the app, or maybe show ads as we've seen in the industry right now. All of you might have seen ads on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or whatever your popular medium is, even on YouTube, right? So you would have seen ads coming on YouTube. So you have to figure out a way to make money. But digital consultancy firms, they work a bit differently. You have clients who are like, hey, can you make this app for me? And they pay you the money. So your job is to focus on making apps for them. So you make one app, then that's complete. You pass it over, then you make another app. So this is how I really got started. Like I started off, and then I got a opportunity to work with a bunch of people who had been doing Android for a couple of years. So you get to learn from them, and then you work with them and see how they're writing code. You try to follow some of the patterns and practices that you see they are using, and that's how my career actually began. So as I said, it was a digital consultancy firm. So I was pretty blessed, I would say, at that point in time, where like I got a chance to work on different type of apps and hence see the diversity of the Android ecosystem. Because if you would notice, the Android SDK is very vast. It can get intimidating, but trust me, you don't need to know everything about the entire SDK. You might go through moments where you're like, hey, this is so much. I've not had a chance to work with Bluetooth. I've not had a chance to work with NFC. I've not had a chance to work with location. How do I figure all of that out? My advice and what I learned in my first couple of years as in a professional career is that you don't need to really know all. Just know that these kind of features and components exist. And by what I mean by this is that you have a basic understanding that yes, the framework provides you with features like Bluetooth. The framework provides you with features like NFC. They provide you location services. They have camera component. They have video component. But you don't need to worry about using all of them. And that really applies not just to these components, but they will also apply to, like as Hassan was mentioning in the previous talk, right? That you have fragments, you will have view models, you have services, you have a lot more stuff. You don't need to learn everything. Just know that fragments exist. This is what they're helpful for. You have location components exist. This is when you need them. You have view models. This is when you need them. When you get to it, whenever there's a time and opportunity for you to figure that out, try to keep that time as a way to actually go into the depths and details and try to learn. That's just my 2 cents of having worked in with a bunch of different apps. It just makes sure that you're focused, you're engaged, and you're learning what you're learning right now. At the same time, you have an open mind and you're aware of other features and frameworks that exist, and you will master them when the time comes. Because trying to master everything is a difficult challenge, especially when you're starting off. You will get there in about 5 to 6 years where you will have a decent mastery over different components and frameworks that exist, but that shouldn't be a concern when you're starting off. All right. So this is what I'm talking about from work experience. Like, as I said, like this, I was a bit lucky. This is how I got started. But what if you want to practice Android outside of your work environment? Like you feel anything that you learn in work, or for most of you who are attending this talk right now, you've not even started work yet, right? So how would you go about learning, not from work experience, but just from sitting at a position where you're just a student who wants to learn, or you want to, or you're not a student, but you want to learn outside of your work? Fret not, there's a lot more of other ways. My first and favorite way is actually to start attending meetups. And meetups are these groups and events which are organized by people, like this DSC talk. You can consider it like a meetup event where a bunch of people get together. You have speakers, you have organizers, and the speaker will share his or her experience on how they worked, or would, like, this is one of a more of an experience based, but you would also have technical talks, like Hassan was going through a code lab where they will tell you how things are supposed to be done, or how they implemented things in the past. What do they learn? So try attending meetups. Such events will really help you a lot. I would also say it's an excellent opportunity to meet developers, widen your mindset, and try to find a meetup in your own city. Like that would be great for you and your personal growth as well. And if there isn't one, I would say feel free to start one. Like reach out to your DSC lead or a GDG lead, who you know. Ask them if they can help you get in touch with some folks at Google who can help you kickstart this meetup. If you cannot get through that contact, feel free to go to meetup, create one, invite people. You'll find some speaker or somebody. Just give it a shot, give it an effort. More or less, I'm pretty sure that the Android community is pretty vast and big now, so you will have a meetup in your region. But if you don't, try to start up one. Like it doesn't hurt. But again, like I don't want to put the burden on you to go ahead and start, right? What if there isn't one, or you're just shy, like you don't want to go to meetup events? That happens. I was shy when I started off with the fear that, hey, what if they're talking about stuff I have no idea about? Or I'm just so new, I don't want to go because I really don't know anything. Fret not, there are more ways. Go look at open source. So open source is, we'll get to GitHub in a way, but open source is this way where a lot of people or communities or companies actually publish their source code for the world to see. The idea being you could help identify issues in their source so they can fix, or you stand a lot to learn from these open source apps, and just to see how people in the industry who have 10 to 15 years worth of experience, like I've just been working for 7, but there are a lot of people who, Android has been out for 11 years. Yeah, I had to think about it. Android has been out for 11 years and I've only worked on it for 6. So there's people who have much more experience than me, right? Try to look at how they think, like how are they trying to solve a certain problem? How are they structuring their code? How are they actually performing their day-to-day tasks? So I have listed down 3 or 4 popular open source repositories. All of them can be found on GitHub. One is the Google I/O app. For anybody who's not familiar, Google I/O is this annual conference from Google where they talk about all new shiny things about Google's technology. So go ahead, have a look at the Google I/O app. Just download it, open it in your favorite editor, which if you're trying to be an Android developer, ought to be Android Studio. So open it up in your favorite editor, just tinker around, run it, attach it to your device, use the emulator, just run it, just play around with it, tinker it. It's open source. You can download it, edit the source code, modify it in a way. Just try to see how problems and solutions have been built into the app, what kind of technologies and methods are people using to actually write their code, and how their code is different from what you've been writing or actually similar to what you've been writing. There's a lot and lots to learn. Similarly, Google I/O is the official apps, but there are other open source repository like Plaid and Trivi. These are from like really popular people in the Android community, people who actually work on the Android framework. They're the ones who are building the Android SDK for you. And Google also has its open source Android architecture guide. So go ahead and look through them. Like you don't want to attend meetups, you're not working currently, doesn't hurt. Look at open source code. You learn a lot. I have personally learned a lot. Like if I had to point out one, my personal favorite is Tivi. Like I've always have it bookmarked. Try to read it, try to run through it, try to get inspired on how they're solving certain problems. And more often than not, there have been occasions, I wouldn't lie, where there's a certain thing I'm trying to solve, and in Tivi it has already been solved. So it's not just about, you just copy paste their source code and just be like, hey, my problem is solved. You get to learn, you get to see how they approach the problem, how they actually came up with a very nice solution for these. So open source is your best friend, and Android is entirely open source. So go ahead, use this opportunity. More ways to learn, another techniques that I follow right now as well, even after doing Android for quite a while, like go watch, listen to events. So meetups is, you need to go physically be present in the meetup. But a lot of these bigger meetups, such as DroidCons, like DroidCon is this global Android event, which is also happening on 12th and 13th December. So and it's free to attend. Like this year, DroidCon is actually free to attend. Not publicizing them. I'm not even speaking there at this year's DroidCon. Just like heads up for anybody who wants to join in and listen. They have beginner level talks. They have intermediate. They have advanced. I can understand like some of them might be too difficult for people who really are just starting off with Android. But there are a lot of beginner ones which really, really help. And just to hear people and just to look at their slides and how they're presenting and what kind of things are talking, you'll definitely have something to take away. So DroidCon is happening on 12th. Try to tune in. I'm going to be tuning in. There's a lot to learn from the great folks in the community. There are other events which happen as well throughout the year. You have Android Makers, you have Chicago Roboto. There are lots and lots of events. And the good thing is most of these events are recorded. You can find the videos on YouTube and Vimeo, so you can sit back and watch them and listen to them at your own time, right? So, as I would say, being a mobile developer, or not just Android, like I would really extend it to just being an engineer per se. It's a lot more about not just about what you learn at work, it's about complementing your skills through other resources and options that are available, like open source and talks here. But again, here I would also like to pause, step back, and tell people that it's not just all about this. You might hear in the community, or you might get an impression that, hey, if I become an engineer, I need to not just think about my work, but spend time outside work in trying to listen to other people talk about, or attend hackathons, or build other apps out of my work. That's not really the case. You don't need to do it all the time. You should find a perfect balance between what you like doing versus when you don't like doing. I'm just trying to share resources here for somebody who likes to do that. That's not to say that without that, if you're not doing all of this, that you're not listening to other people's events and talks, or not looking at open source code, you will not be a great engineer. That's a myth. You can be an excellent engineer without doing this. But for some people, they actually really prefer doing all of this, and they help, and they feel like at the start of their career, it is important. So pick your own battles, decide on your own. I'm just trying to share about things that worked for me and things that I still continue to follow. But it's not a hard and steadfast rule that you or anybody else needs to really do this. Okay. And yes, join GitHub. If you don't have a GitHub account and you're planning to be an engineer, that's one of the first things I would say. Create a GitHub account, try to learn how it works. You'll be using it a lot in your day-to-day life. And it's a great place to host stuff. By host, I mean you write a code and you think it's great, push it over there. You think it's horrible, don't care, push it over there. Just make it a way for you to house anything that you're working on. Even if it's horrible, it doesn't matter. In the future, you'll look back at it and you'll realize how much you've come ahead, how much you've learned. So it's a good diary of sorts to keep as you're growing up your career. One of my regrets is I didn't start off doing this early. Like I really started off with GitHub, creating my own GitHub profile and working on it like about 4 years ago, even though I started work like about 6, 7 years ago. But that's one advice I can give. Go ahead, use this as a learning ground. Just dump all your ideas and experiment. Even if you're like just trying to build a basic to-do app, I know you wouldn't want to publish it, or even if you want to publish it, go ahead, put it on GitHub. It's okay. It's okay even if somebody goes through it and it's probably not the best thing you've written. You still will have a lot to learn. Somebody who goes through it might give you some feedback on about how you could do it better. So go ahead, use GitHub. It's free, especially if you're a student. If you have a student email address, I think GitHub still offers you private repositories if you're a student. In case you're a bit shy and you don't want the world to see, you can use the private access. But if your university does not have a tie-up, you can still use GitHub, just that everything will be public. And again, to emphasize, is not to fret about that. Okay, another way to learn and contribute. This is something I thought about doing it this year. This was my first time. I really liked it. So it's something I want to share as well. There's this thing called Hack October, which is hacking in October. So it's not just hacking for yourself. You're actually trying to contribute to open source. So as I said, people have the GitHub GitHub profile. They publish and submit their source code over there for the world to see. And you can also find these repositories, contribute to them. So you know how you get together as teams at workplace, or as a student, you have groups where you form for projects. Think of GitHubs as virtual teams working together, where you want to, this guy based off in India, or I'm based off in Singapore, and you're based off in Philippines, and I want to contribute to you the project you're working on. Hack Oktoberfest is a great way to do this. So probably something for you to try on next year, right? Ramp up on your skills this year, see what you can learn. Maybe next year's open source Hack Oktoberfest, I'll probably see some of you just trying to send a commit or just trying to help out somebody else who's working and trying to hone your skills that way. Lastly, get a mentor. By get, okay, I should say try to get a mentor. Feel free to ping any of us. You can ping me on Twitter or on my Facebook or Instagram. Just try to find somebody who can help you, guide you along the way. That would really, really help. It could be a senior at your university, it could be once you start work, it could be your team lead, it could be your senior developer in the team who's been working on Android for about 5-6 years. Try to find somebody who can help you along and guide you in the way and tell you what should be the next steps that you try to take. Having a mentor will really help you progress up the ladder and learn more. All right, so at this point I've actually gone through how I started, what I do right now, and what are my learning resources, and how you could try some of these learning resources. But at this point, when I was trying to go through the talk myself, what I realized was, hey, I've actually talked a lot about how I do things and how you could follow them, but this is probably seems a bit geared towards somebody who has a bit of basic experience in Android already. But what if you're starting off afresh, right? You've just joined DSC, or you've just thought about building a career in Android, and at this point you might just be lost. You said, oh, attend events and meetups and open source and yada yada yada, and you're like, hey, this is a bit too complicated, this is a bit too much, I am just starting off, I literally have no idea. So if you're somebody like that, fret not. We look at a bit of official learning resources to help you just get started. All right, just a second. So what if you're just getting started with Android? There's a lot of official resources available. I think in the previous talk, Hassan mentioned about Kotlin already, so I'll not go into details about that. There's official Kotlin lang docs. You can use that to learn Kotlin. There's developer.android.com, which has all your Android SDK and all the resources for it. Go through them. Again, as I said, you don't need to read everything. You don't need to understand all the APIs that are available or all the documentation there is. That would be exhausting and insane challenge. What you need to do is you need to know this resource is available. You can read up on the basics on how to get started, and it's your best friend when you're struggling and you don't know what to do or you don't understand how certain things work. Go to d.android.com, figure it out. There are code labs for Kotlin. I think we just went through a code lab earlier, so you would have a bit of an idea how code labs work. There's a lot of code labs officially from Google as well. Go through them when you're starting off. They're a great learning resource. You'll learn a lot. There's also the Android YouTube. On YouTube, there's the official Android developers channel. I think this was also covered in the previous talk. So, as I said, there are a bunch of code labs, and not just for Android, right? You have code labs for machine learning, for Firebase, for AR Core. I can understand these are all fancy terms, and you might feel a bit lost, but you'll get there. Just encourage yourself. Start with Android first. Start with Kotlin first. The other things will follow suit. Yeah, the official Android developers channel. This is what that would look like. The great thing I like about this channel is that the videos are small. Like, as you can see, like videos are 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. So they pack it with information, so you can learn quite a bit just by watching a short clip. And again, it's on YouTube. You don't need to watch all of it, but just be aware that these kind of resources exist, and you never know what great tip or technique you might pick up from there. Twitter is another great place to follow people and learn from. I think Hassan talked about how he's on Twitter. Even I'm on Twitter. You should, if you aren't and looking forward as a career as an engineer, definitely a place to join. Just try to follow a lot of people who talk about Android and Kotlin. You will stand to learn a lot. There'll be a lot of tips and tricks that are shared. Just sometimes it just helps you click few things which you're struggling to understand. A lot of beginner resources that are shared by the community. The Android community is very, very friendly. So you should actually go ahead and start following a few folks. Just build up your circle. Udacity also has free courses from Google. If you are a person who doesn't like to read himself or herself. Instead, you prefer somebody else to teach you and guide you through the process, these courses are best for you. You can follow step by step and just slowly build up your skills. So that's another great thing to do. If you like that, you can take up the nano degree. Again, stuff which are great to have, not compulsory. These are not the only ways to learn. That's why I went through multiple ways. You can begin with code yourself. If you're a person who wants to watch videos and learn, go to YouTube. If you're a person who wants to be trained along, go to Udacity. There's all sorts of options available for you if you're getting started. Lastly, once you have a basic understanding and you've ramped up a bit on the skills, try to take the Android Associate Developer certification. It will help you really with job search and job hunt moving onwards in the future, because if you have an official certificate from Google saying that, hey, this guy is an associate developer and we've certified that he's great, it will boost up your credentials to be hired by organizations and companies who are always looking for engineers. So this could also be something for you to look into. Personally, it came a bit late for me. Like, I was already into Android development for 2-3 years back then by the time this certificate came up. So I didn't take it, but I now moving forward over the last few years, I've definitely seen a lot of people take it and stand to gain a lot from it. All right, okay. So that was how I got started. What did I do? How you can get started if you're a beginner or if you are intermediate and you already have some idea about Android already, right? So this is a more of an intro on how you would start off your career. But now I'll give you a sneak peek into what your day would look like if you decide to become an engineer. Just a bit of a disclaimer. I'll go through some parts of the day which might not be, which might not be exactly what you might go through as you start off your career. But I would want to give you an insight on how, over the years, as you progress over the next 4-5 years, how would your day look like? And I'll stop and highlight at positions at junctures which might not be valid for people who just entered the industry. So this is from an experience of 6 years, but it might not be applicable to you. Some of them might not be applicable to you, and I'll make a point to try to emphasize them. So it's not about coding all day. Like, I can understand that there's a sense, like, that's what I felt 7 years ago, is, hey, I'm an engineer and I'm starting off as an engineering career and I'll be a developer and that's what I'll do all day. I'll code, write the best code I have. But nope. You do that, you will write a lot of code, but it's not going to be about just coding all day. I don't know if some of you are happy or some of you are sad given this a virtual event, but it's just what it is. It's not just about coding. And personally, I was a bit glad, just coding away for 8 hours of your day non-stop can get a bit tiring. So there's a bit of a variety and a mix-up that happens. So what are they? So if you're not coding all the day, what are we essentially doing? So first up, let me go through a typical day. Like, once I'm at work, usually my day would begin with checking out a project management tool, which we use to track the progress of a product. Here I'll mention, like I mentioned, that currently I'm working for a product-based company. So the typical day starts off with, going into a project management tool like Trello, Asana, Jira. I'm not sure if anybody of you heard of these, but these are tools which help you to see what kind of feature you're working on, what are the issues or bugs in your app, what mistakes you made. It allows you to plan your work and keep track of what has already been accomplished, what is the roadmap for the next 2 months. Like, let's say I want to build all of these features, so you can keep a track of them on this tool, because not like if you want to build 15 features, you will build them in one day, right? You need a place where you can manage all of this, that how am I progressing, what am I building, what am I supposed to work on today. So these management tools help you use that. And another great aspect of these tools is it helps you collaborate across teams. And speaking of teams, funny thing, I had this line in my talk, but then while I was waiting, I saw there was a great video in the middle or between the last talk and my talk, which was telling about what teams are. That there's a design team, there's a product team, and the designer's job is to actually design the screen of your app and tell to the developer that this is what exactly my screen looks like. This is how you move from screen A to screen B. Then you have product teams which are telling you, hey, these are the type of features you're building. So as an engineer, you don't fret. Like in universities, you might feel, or as a student who's in university, you might have assignments which would be like, build this, and you have to think about how it looks, you have to think about what it does. And it's great that you get to do it, but at work there are other people who are helping you do that. So you'll have product managers, as we call them, whose job is to figure out how would your feature or your app works. You have design team whose job would be like, how does the screen look like, exactly down to what color to use, what's how much should be the spacing in centimeters or inches or dp between each button on the screen. So you have these teams together, and you have the engineering team whose job is to take this specification, as I would call it, like this design and this product, and this is what we engineering would do. We would make sure that we implement this and make it as an application which end users can use. So this is how all of these teams, like we come together and do a synergy to make the product. So as I said, product management tool helps you to track all of this. But why was I talking about all of this? Because there's a part of your day which will involve meetings with these people, because you have a product team, you have a design team, you have an engineering team. They all have to cohesively get together and build an end app for the user, which is great and perfect. So there'll be a lot of discussions about, how can I do this thing? What do you think this looks like? Things about, hey, I feel the design you've given me is a bit too complicated. This happens at Workday all the time. Like you might have tons of years worth of experience, but you'll come across design which you will feel like, hey, this is a bit too complicated. Like, do I really want to do this? Or can you guide me through your thought process so I know how do I build this? So, a certain part of your day will involve meetings with a lot of people. And one of the things important in a meeting is the ability to listen and the ability to communicate and get your thoughts across. So that's will become an important skill, which moving forward, most of you will pick up in the workplace. Nothing to fret about if you don't have experience with it, or somehow you feel you're probably not great at all of this, but nothing to fret about. These are the kind of things as a student I never bothered about, and I would advise you not to think too much about it. It's just trying to give you an idea on what it would be like. But don't worry, you will all learn it and pick it up at the workplace. Everybody does. There's nothing to worry about any of this. So now you've had your meetings, you've seen your product management tools, you've figured out, you've got your design specification from your design team, you've got your product specification from your product team. Now you know how it looks like, you know how it works. And now the best part, as engineers, what we like to do the best, sit back, relax, start coding. This is where I would say generally for my work day, it's generally the second half of my work. So probably about post lunch or post lunch, generally about 2-3 p.m. is when I just like try to zone in, start writing code, get my task complete, up and finished. So here, as I said earlier, I would mention, if you are starting off as a fresh person in the industry, like you just get a first job and you're starting off, actually this part will be most of your workday. The getting the requirements and coding off. You might not be involved a lot in meetings to begin with, and that's where your opportunity is to actually shine out and learn your engineering skills. Like as we're starting up in the industry, more of it would be hands-on coding most of the time, getting a feature and specifications and building that out. As you've gained a bit of experience, you'll start getting involved in meetings to actually take your learnings from what you've learned over the first couple of years and put them into meetings and explain people how these kind of things are built, why this is difficult, or why these features are easy, right? And for coding, when you're starting off, tools that I use, Android Studio, Kotlin, and Java as well. I would not go into the details of any of these three. I think the previous talk covered, and I realize a bunch of you also went through the code lab, so you probably already have an idea about what is Android Studio, how does Kotlin work. So not something I like to talk about. The final part of my day, not the final yet. Actually, when you're writing code, one thing I wanted to cover is testing. Now that's something in universities, okay, I don't know what it is like now, so excuse me if I'm wrong in this, but actually back then, this was one aspect of programming or software development or engineering, which we weren't really familiar with. It is that you need to write code to test your code. And what I mean is, you write code and then you write code to verify that this code works. So I know it's a bit convoluted to understand that, hey, I have a code and I want to write code to verify this code works. Why can't I just run this code and see it works? And if it works, it's great. Why do I need another piece of code to actually verify this runs? So try to understand it like you have a code and you've written it and it works, and you've tested it manually that this piece works. And then tomorrow you want to build more features on top. So you write code and then you write more code and then you write more code. You're building, and accidentally you break something which was already working. So the problem here is, you write code, you write more code. Now at this point, if you're doing manual, you need to make sure that the new one that you've written and the old one that you've written works. This sounds great if there's only 2 features. What is there 20? And now you're writing your 21st one. You write the 21st one and you need to make sure for everything you write for the 21st one, you need to make sure that all those 20 work. That can be really tedious and taxing, right? Like every time you write something, you need to spend another 30 minutes verifying that everything else works. That's not the best way to work. So another important part of our work post writing code and building feature involves writing tests to make sure this code works. So this is a very rudimentary explanation of what testing is. Again, back when I highlighted about open source projects and repositories, some of those repositories I've talked about, like Trivi and Pled, have great examples of how to write tests. And even the Android developers documentation has a few examples of how to write tests. Personally, I don't think it's the best. Your best bet would be to go to open source repositories and see how tests are written and what kind of tests do people write to validate your feature. And I would say this is a great skill to have. If you're starting off on Android, or even if you're at a beginner or an intermediate level, if you learn how to write tests, that will make you that will like really bolster your job prospects, because these days in the industry, writing tests is a great skill set to have. Everybody's looking out for people who not only knows how to write code, but also needs to know how to write testing code. So that would be something which will be really helpful, and it's something which has integrally become a day-to-day part of my working career as an Android developer. Okay, and I've written code, I've put my test for the code. Now it's time to put my code to Git or GitHub is what we use for the Git. I think people should be familiar with Git right now. I've heard that in a lot of universities now they're talking about GitHub, but so I'll not dive into details about what Git and GitHub is. But if anybody doesn't know or anybody has any questions about it, we can cover that in the Q&A section. So lastly, this is the final part. This is like, now it's like 5 p.m. in the evening and I've written my code, I've written tests, I've pushed it to Git. So everything is done, but I've pushed it to Git. But again, I would say I've pushed it to Git, but not in the part of the, so if anybody who understands Git might find this easier to understand, is Git has multiple branches, right? So I haven't pushed my code to the central part. I've pushed it to a separate separate branch, but now I want this to be merged or become a part of the main source code. This is where code reviews become important. So what code reviews are and what we follow in, as an example, in day-to-day workplace is, you get somebody else, your peer or your colleague or your friend. Like if you're a student, like I would also recommend trying to do this. You write a code, you submit it, and then you ask somebody to read it to verify that it's right and that it's a decent way to do things. So this is what we do at workplace as well. I write, and then a colleague of mine will actually go through the code, validate it that it's good, and then we can merge it or add it to the main code. It might seem a bit overwhelming, or you might feel a bit worried that, hey, I have written this code and now somebody else is going to review my code. What if the person doesn't like it? Like, what if the person is like, hey, you've done things wrong and I don't want that. It's a part of what I would say is code reviews are important because it allows you to learn. It allows you to exchange knowledge. And very rarely, like, again, open source, and you should try this. Definitely, you should try this as students as well, you would realize people don't really want to criticize your code. Like the point is not looking at it and being like, hey, you've done a bad job, you could do better, or being like, I don't like the way you've written this thing. That's not really the part, even though it might come across like this. The point is that you look at it and somebody would look at it and whoever is looking at it has bunch of things to gain. He or she might look at your code and be like, hey, that's a pretty interesting way to do things. I never thought about it like to do it like that earlier. So the person gets to learn. It's a learning opportunity. On the flip side, if it's not the best thing, the person who probably has more experience presents a chance of knowledge exchange. The person can tell you, hey, you've done this in a nice way, but there's another way to do this. How about you try to do it in this new way? And then, as a person who's written the code, it's your time to now learn, because you see this experienced person who's now presenting you a different perspective of how to write this same feature that you did. So it's a two-way street, right? I, as a reviewer, probably gets to see something which is different and new, and I get to learn something. Or I, as a reviewer, get to pass on my knowledge, and you, as a writer or the submitter of this code, gets to learn great things. So code reviews is definitely a part of every engineer's day-to-day life. Something, again, as a student in a university, I was not really familiar with. Nobody really told me about this. And I would say, like, this is great. You should try to practice this out. If you don't, like, again, you don't get a chance, nothing to fret about. You will learn it at your workplace. I'm just trying to give you an insight of how things work. Or you can go to open source, like open source repositories that were listed earlier. People contribute to them through Hacktoberfest, as I mentioned, and a lot of other ways. Hacktoberfest is just for October, but throughout the year, people contribute through open source repository through this process of peer code reviews, where they would want to contribute some feature to this repository on GitHub. They would send a request with their code. The owner or the maintainer will review it and let them know. And all this is happening on GitHub in the open. If you haven't even written that code or you don't even own that repository, you can go and you can just read and see how other people are reviewing, how other people are commenting, and how the conversation is flowing. So these days, as an engineer, there are a vast number of resources available. Try to make open source your friend, and you'll figure out and you'll stand to gain a lot. And that's it. That's then the end of my day at work. We've pushed the code, we've submitted it, we've written tests about it, we've done a code review, and now it's merged. That's it. Time to go home. And with that, that's it. I've come to an end of the presentation I had. Thank you so much for listening. If there are any questions, I think we can go start the questions now, if there are.
What is your inspiration for starting your Android journey?
So for me personally, back then, I think I started off in 2013. Okay, so for me, it was a bit different. Like, for me, it was my final year in university where my prof was like, hey, there's this assignment, and like we used to have final year projects, and my prof was like, okay, I want you to, this is the project you want to work on. So I was just literally like thrust into it, where he gave me a project to work on, and it was a Android related project. And I, for honest, had never even heard about Android back then. I was like, okay, it's a mobile phone. That's about it. And then I started off, and I ended up liking it. Like personally, like it was a bit difficult. Definitely it is. I think that's with any technology you're picking up for the first time. But it turned out to be fun. And then I just continued. And the more I went into it, the more I started really, really liking it.
All right, sir. We have the second question. What are the things you wish you knew when you were a beginner?
Okay. One thing definitely is that the framework is very wide. There are tons and tons of stuff in the framework, and it can get overwhelming, but you don't need to worry about. Like, just focus on your task and what you're trying to do right now, and just try to have a very surface level overview that these other kind of features and technologies and ways to do things exist. You do not need to master all of them because it's not possible. Like when you're starting off as a beginner, it's just not possible. It can become very intimidating if you're trying to master all of this. So just the ability to sit back, relax, and tell yourself that, hey, I'm learning this right now. This is what I need to do. I will focus on this. I know that exists. I don't need to use it right now, so I don't need to master it right now. Like that. And open source. Like if I knew about open source, I think my journey might have been a bit more easier and a bit more, and I would have had a lot more resources to begin with to learn.
All right, sir. So we have a third question here. So he or she said, "I'm from a non-technical background. Is it too late for me to get into tech?"
Oh no, definitely not. Like I think you still have ample time to get into tech. And there's a lot of open stuff available. You have courses on Udacity, on Coursera to teach you how to get into any kind of technology. I know we are talking about Android here, so we mentioned courses on Udacity, and those courses go from really beginner level. So you can just literally join in with zero idea and you learn. And Udacity is an example for Android. If you want to get into any other technical stuff, same process, you can get into it. And I'll give an example. I had a colleague, I wouldn't want to name her or anything, but she's up 30 plus and she doesn't have a technical background. She was in marketing and she just decided to become an engineer. She took a 6 month break. She went to Coursera. She took courses, and guess you know what? Like 9 months after starting all of this, or about 10 months after starting all of this, she got a job as a junior software engineer in, I think it's Uber or Pinterest. I'm just forgetting. Like Uber or Pinterest, she got a junior software engineer job over there in 9 months at the age of 30, 31, after already been working for 7, 8 years in a different non-technical background. So it's never too late. It's never too late.
All right, true. Okay, we have another question, sir. What skills do I need to develop to become a good software engineer?
So for career, somebody who's starting off their career, it's more about your comprehension and coding skills, like your ability to think about how you plan to solve the problem and your ability to receive feedback. Because as I mentioned, as you move forward in your career, there'll be a lot of code reviews where people will look at your code and tell you how you could do things better. So the ability to, like, coding skills are one. Engineering skills is definitely something which I would just say that definitely that's needed. Like the ability to write code and the ability to write tests for the code is needed. But keeping aside the engineering skills, definitely the ability to listen and receive feedback would really go a long way, and will not only go a long way in your soft skills, but actually really enhance your engineering skills. Just the fact that you don't take criticism very negatively and let it impact you. Just think that the other person is telling you this is for your own benefit. So that would really help.
All right. Yeah, indeed. Really listening skills is very important, and I agree to that. For our next question, do you have any advice for people who are having a hard time doing projects on their own?
Hard time doing projects on their own. Okay. This is a bit tricky. One thing I would say is most projects as you in your career would not be alone. Like very rarely, unless you're building a startup. Like that's very different. That would need you to be like one or two people who get together and like do a startup. Then you'd definitely be doing a lot of work on your own. But as in your workplace, fret not, that's not going to happen. There'll be teams. As I mentioned, you'll have teams of 5, 6, 10, 15. Like certain companies also have up to 80 people working on the same Android app. So there'll be a lot of people who will be helping you get your work together and get your project or get your product shipped and built. That's not going to be an issue moving forward. But right now, if you're having issues with doing projects on your own, I think at the top of my head, one advice I could give is try to use open source, try to push it on GitHub, try to get in touch with other students who are who also want to learn and who also want to contribute. If you have it on GitHub, it would be easy for somebody else based off in some other country or based off in some other city, or your friend who doesn't, who's not with you all the time, but he's at his home. You all can collaborate together and try to work on a centralized system using GitHub. So you don't really need to finish it off on your own, right? Because that's not how big products and great apps are built. It's always a teamwork and a collaborative effort.
Yes, true, sir. I'm sorry, I was muted. Yes, that was correct. We have another question.
Mhm.
Do you have any advice to avoid burnouts for developers?
Okay, one thing I would really emphasize is I understand like a lot of community talk and what people would tell you is about you should learn, 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 try to do projects outside work, try to read up, try to look at other people's source code, try to read up, listen to talks, try to read blogs. I would say take a step back. It's not just about all of that. Do not give, do not take your life away and just start doing all of this. That even Saturdays and Sundays where you don't have university, if you're working professionally, you don't have work, you're just spending your life in front of the computer and trying to just read and learn more, learn more. That will definitely push you on the path of burnout. So my advice is I do that. I some days and some weekends I would spend learning outside, but I would definitely not at all do that on every weekday and weekend. Like that just makes it very exhausting because you're working or you're studying, and then when you have a free time, you're not working but you're studying. So you need a time where you would set aside and be like, hey, no, I'm not watching, I'm not learning right now. I want to do something else. Try to find this something else, be it a hobby, be it a passion or something else. Even if you don't have that, it's okay. Just don't let blogs and open source and videos on engineering and all consume your entire life. Not doing that will really help you avoid burnout. And don't fret, that won't ruin your career as an engineer or make you a bad engineer or a worse off engineer. That is not the prerequisite to be a great engineer.
All right, Fidel, I think you're muted.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
I really think that I need to hear that because I've been having multiple burnouts. But yeah, okay. So for our next question, he or she asked tips for team-oriented development projects.
Okay, I'm not sure what kind of tips are we looking at for. Like, are you looking at for ideas or are you looking at how do you manage team oriented development projects? Since it's tips, I'll probably go to how do you manage. Try using a product management tool. These tools are built for a reason. If you're a student, you're looking for something free, try using Trello and you use that to track what other people are working on and when are they supposed to deliver, when have they delivered. These might sound things you don't really need, but trust me, just the ability to know and remember what certain people was working on not only helps you, it helps them also remember, hey, this is what I was supposed to work on, and not have any confusion or overlapping work happening. So tools are built for a reason, right? So try to use them. They will really help you. And for source code, if you're really looking into how do you manage code, Git or GitHub is your best friend. Right? I could not emphasize that more. Learning that will help you a lot in your job prospects and opportunity, because that's one thing any engineer, be it Android, iOS, Flutter, I don't care, like whatever you're working on, that is a tool you will always use. So, and that is a tool you'll use simply because everybody is doing team oriented development works. So yeah, those are my two tips.
All right. Okay. So we have one non-technical question, sir.
Okay.
So, audience are interested about, since you're working with Vicky, they're asking if what's your favorite K-drama.
Okay. My company would be a bit bummed to know that I don't watch K dramas. I actually don't. But so I've only watched like two, actually, to be honest. Just two. And that is because as working, if I have to test my app and sit down with my colleagues. So out of the two I've watched, I think What's Wrong with Secretary Kim was pretty funny.
Okay, I see.
But I've heard there's this oh shit, I'm forgetting the name. There's about this girl who ends up parachuting into North Korea. I'm forgetting that name. I've heard that one is really good, but I've not watched it. I've only watched What's Wrong with Second Weekend. Pretty nice.
Ah, yes. Oh, yes. What's wrong with Secretary Kim?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's on Wiki, so that's one I watched.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I'll be watching that very soon.
Okay.
All right. So back to the technical topic. So for Android development, do we need to study both Java and Kotlin, or should focus on the latest?
So, okay, if you're starting off, focus on Kotlin a lot more. That's my personal advice. Everybody is moving towards Kotlin. It's, I think, more than Google had a survey where they talked about that the top 1,000 apps in the Play Store are more than 50% based off Kotlin right now. And Kotlin is the future, hands down. There is a new framework coming out, like might not be valid, but I would just emphasize here. There's a new framework coming out called Jetpack Compose, which is a way to write UI in Android. That's also 100% Kotlin with no Java support. So Kotlin is definitely the future. For somebody who's starting off, definitely go ahead with Kotlin, personal recommendation. But don't forget Java. That's the only thing. You can go a long way with just using 100% Kotlin. Actually, if you're building a new app, you don't need to know Java at all. The thing is, existing apps are still using Java. Like at Wiki, if I recall correctly, we are 60% Kotlin, 40% Java. So any new code we write is Kotlin, but sometimes there'll be issues or bugs that you need to fix in some other page or some other screen, which is still written in Java. So you need to know a basic Java as well. But Kotlin, like if you're ramping up, go to Kotlin. Make it 100%. Learn advanced Kotlin. That will really help you. And I believe like in the next 4 5 years, probably Kotlin would, these top apps which are used 50% is Kotlin, I think that would hit like 70 80%. So just knowing Kotlin will really help.
Okay. Okay, we have one last question, sir. What particular social media international group or community do you recommend for us to join to ask questions or clarifications or be updated with the latest trends, events, news in Android development? Okay, it's
Okay.
kind of long.
So if you're looking to ask questions and clarifications, Stack Overflow is your best bet. That's a community resource for where people can ask questions and get answers to their problems. But they have a moderation community, so you cannot just ask questions where you be like, hey, how do I do this? The advice is that you should actually show how you tried to do something and you failed, and hence you're looking for advice, not come across as somebody who just didn't try anything. So Stack Overflow is your best bet to ask questions. It's the biggest and the best place. There's Reddit. So anybody who's not familiar with Reddit, I don't know how to describe it. Just give it a try. There's Reddit subreddit as they call, which is Android Dev. So that's a great way to keep up on track with uh, the latest trend, events, and news in Android development that's happening. You'll find a lot of resources over there. And another one I would say is the Android developers YouTube channel and their blog post. So you could use a RSS app like Feedly or okay, I use Feedly. I can't think of anything else. You can use some RSS app to subscribe to them. So whenever they write a new blog post, you will get it as a push notification or whatever your preference is, or add it to your pocket or some app where you can go ahead and read on the go that this new feature has been launched or this new library is coming out. So Android developer blog post or their YouTube channel, Reddit, Stack Overflow. I think that's the best one.
Okay, so I think that was our last question already, sir. And we want to thank you so much for joining us here tonight. And indeed, I had a lot of notes here, and I also see Fidel. Yeah, I hope even our participants, they always have comments. We can see that they have a lot of words of wisdom for today. And yes, I think we really learned a lot from you, sir.
Thank you so much.
And okay, so yes, so to express our gratitude to you, sir, we would like to give this certificate of appreciation for your willingness to share your
wow.
time and expertise as a speaker in the Philippine Android Weekend 2020.
Oh, thank you so much. This is so nice.
Yes, sir. We will give you that in your. We will send you that in your email right
So much.
after this. And on behalf of the developer student club's family here in the Philippines, we want to thank you once again for joining us here today and inspiring us all. Okay, so we would like to plug in. Yes, also. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. And once again, we would like to plug in again our Google Cloud Platform event. So yeah, can you please show on the screen? Okay.
All right, so as you can see, we have an upcoming event. Oh, no, it's currently ongoing. If you haven't registered for the GCP NAS, it's all about you can learn yourself. It's a self-paced program where you get an opportunity to learn on infrastructure modernization and application development on Google Cloud, starting with free 1 month access to Quick Labs. You will receive this swags, as you can see on the screen. Upon completion of the Quick Labs, you'll receive these swags, and this will end by the 3rd of January, 11:59, as I'm not mistaken, right, Fidel?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, actually, yeah, it does sounds interesting. So again, guys, we remind you to go to goo.gle/GCPNAS and register to receive your Quick Labs access code. So yeah, okay. So again, thank you so much, everyone, for participating on our day 2 of the Philippine Android Weekend 2020. Just a reminder, if you have friends who missed this event, please do note that this live stream is recorded and shall be uploaded to YouTube and can be replayed in our Facebook page at DSC Philippines.
all right, and so for our day 2, I hope you're all excited to create. You had your first Android app, and you may continue your coding later, and also with the code labs. Reminding everyone to continue your code labs, and if you are done, you can have your you can submit your screenshots for it to our Google form, where you will receive an e-certificate of completion for the Philippine Android Weekend 2020.
All right.
And
Okay. So for our day 3, okay, tomorrow we will be checking you all in by 2:30 p.m. Sunday. So you will have the opportunity to be in a study group, like a study group session, wherein you will be collaborating with your co-attendees in answering the code labs. Not only answering, but also going through all of the code labs. And also, we will be there answering your questions about the code labs.
all right, so okay, can we ask everyone, how are you feeling? How are you, Fidel? Have you learned a lot for today's session?
I really did, and I was a bit tired, but yeah, I'm really happy to be here to see all of you here and learn together about new things, because that's what DSE is all about, learning new things together.
Yes, right. And also, we are very thankful to have 2 Google developer experts today. Despite with our technical issues we've encountered starting of our program, we are very much thankful, especially to our organizing committees who are very who are always there and always very what do you call this? Ready for anything, right? So I hope everyone has a lot of learnings for today, and continue your coding tonight, and
maybe tomorrow, you can be with us doing your code labs or your co-attendees. And also, don't forget, please, we really encourage you to come to our Discord server tomorrow, so that we will be having our games, icebreakers, and the chance to collaborate and connect with other co-attendees. And don't forget also to plug in your professional accounts like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and other social media platforms. So I think.
All right. Okay. So before we close this program, we would like to, we will be sharing with you the Twitter account of Mr. Saurabh Arora in our comment section. So you can follow Mr. Saurabh, where he mentioned that you can message him if you're asking for or you need help for any Android development problems you have. And if you're looking for mentors, you can ask Mr. Saurabh or Mr. Hanas, our first speaker. And yes, guys, we hope to see you tomorrow for our day 3 and enjoy coding. Thank you so much for being with us
today. Thank you so much from all over the Philippines. And this is Fidel Relon Jr.
And this is Kyra Siniza, your host for Philippine Android Weekend 2020 Day 2.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Guys.
Yes,
Bye,
and happy
guys.
weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Developer Student Clubs train thousands of student developers globally and work with their communities to solve real-life problems. Google selects amazing students from across the globe once a year to be a Developer Student Club lead and start a club on their campus. These leads believe knowledge is power and that technology can do extraordinary things for the world. They take on the responsibility to help students learn and empower these students to solve real problems around them. Join us in building a global community for students.